And what you just got done hearing was the introduction theme music of Greg, the Hammer Valentine. This is the Red Leaf Retrocast, episode 39, Royal All Out of Cardiff. It is the WrestleCast edition of the Red Leaf Retrocast. I'm your host, JD. Very happy to be here for, I guess, three big events of August of major promotions around the world. And a lot of Joshi wrestling. And of course, we got our retro wrestlings to talk about. I'm very excited for this one. Big time news coming out of NXT, going to TV. Got my ticket for Full Gear AEW. We got my mom joining the podcast officially for the wrestling weekly recaps, eventually AEW, so she's joining me to talk about MLW. And let's not waste any time with going right into Dragon Gate for episode 39 here. So, Dragon Gate for the rest of the year, I expect, is going to be a little bit slow. And it did not shock me when, on their September 1st show, coming quickly out of Ben K's first defense, a very good defense against Yamato, I might add. On the Little House Show circuit, Ben K and Shun Skywalker have been tagging up and going through a lot of various different tag teams. And winning, as a matter of fact. So here I am thinking, they're being primed for a tag title match, which I'd be very interested in seeing, because I'm much interested in a Shun Skywalker type push. But with his defeat at the Brave Gate title, I don't see that happening, so this tag situation has been perking my ears up. So this time, at their Gate of Origin show, there was a big event tag team match of Doyoshi, which is the team of Masato Yoshino, the former champion before Pac, and one of the best workers in the world right now, very exciting, and Naruki Doi. The match goes 19 minutes, 21 seconds, and essentially, Yoshino and Doi just overpower Ben K and Shun Skywalker, the Young Guns. Naruki Doi ends up taking Shun's head off for the pin. Big lariats, Yoshino running the ropes very fast as he usually does, isolating Ben K. Shun Skywalker eats the pin, so here I am also thinking, if they are to lose, certainly Ben K is going to eat the pin to set up the next challenger. Neither happened. Not only did they not win, but Shun Skywalker ate the pin. So, two things could possibly happen where they have a rematch, in which then Yoshino will in fact pin Ben K. Two, Yoshino and Naruki Doi have now positioned themselves to be the number one contenders for the tag titles. Or option C is they have a rematch anyways, and Naruki Doi pins Ben K. Either way, I think the tag run of Ben K and Shun Skywalker, at least getting to the tag title shot, has come to a screeching halt here. And the possibilities for Yoshino and Doi have skyrocketed upwards since Ben K and Shun Skywalker have beaten many other teams prior. So I'm very excited what this has in store. I think I really like this booking for Yoshino and Doi, having a program going forward with maybe another match, maybe singles matches going forward, and even getting that tag title shot. So that was Dragon Gate. Not much to talk about there other than that. So that takes us forward into this. Alright, Hikaru Shida's music. Very fitting since she had a great singles match at AEW recently. Teaser there. Yes, something I have been salivating for since the end of the previous cast, where had that amazing 30-minute draw between Maya Yuki and Tsukasa Fujimoto, leading to the vacant Infinity Ice Ribbon title, and made a Ice Ribbon title tournament. And few shows went up on Puroso Dream to mostly watch all of it. There was Ueno Ribbon 1, Ueno Ribbon 2, which was a joint show in a park, which I thought was an interesting venue. That was Ice Ribbons 976, 977 on August 14th. And then that led to the quarterfinals and semifinals at Ice in Wonderland 986 on August 24th. So to go through, there was a fun little bat match between Fujita and Risa Sera that went to a no contest. That was really goofy. I actually had to find that on YouTube to see that. Then we went into some first round matches. Ram Kaicho defeats Miyako Matsumoto, which was quite shocking to me. That was an 8-minute, 54-second match. Miyako Matsumoto is the Triangle Champion, so I thought surely the rookie Ram Kaicho is not going over the Triangle Champion here. She's very green. She has a great gimmick that I still haven't quite figured out. She's got this metal, idol, spooky ghost, rich character in which goons follow her out shooting money guns. Very strange. But she gets the win over the Triangle Champion and moves on. And then the first round matchup of Rina Yamashita and Takiya Saya. If we remember, Rina Yamashita has been positioned for strong singles matches leading into this, and Saya is coming off two things: her really good, more on the short side singles titles match against Maya Yukihi, and winning the tag titles with Julia. And Rina Yamashita more or less shocked me with how dominating she was in this match. 8:39, she looks like a killer and takes the head off Takiya Saya to move on to the second round. So here I am thinking, I can get behind this. Saya is not positioned for a singles push anytime soon. She's in the tag picture right now, looking strong, while Rina is on the other side, looking strong being singles. She gets the win. It was a good match. Kills Saya, so very dominating. Cool, making a new star here. Making a new contender. Then we have then it kind of skips a lot of the first round matches. Didn't get to see those, but we get the second round matches later in this day. We see Maya Yukihi defeating Bonnie Okawa in 9 minutes. Wins via sharpshooter, and it finally looks like a good sharpshooter. So very happy about that. Maya Yukihi basically makes a statement and victim out of Bonnie Okawa. Not in a heel way, just a very dominating win. Kind of eggs on Bonnie Okawa to give her best, but her best just wasn't doing anything. And Maya looks very dominating here as the champion who gave up her title to get to the best challenger. Then we have, possibly one of my favorite matches in the entire tournament is Tsukishi versus Maika Ozaki. The spunky powerlifter Maika Ozaki versus the very tiny idol little girl in peril character of Tsukushi. Unbelievable high-speed type matchup, and when I just say high-speed type, I mean a non-stop running match that we see in Stardom a lot, where it's a lot of near falls, quick flash pins, running the ropes, Hurricane Rana's drop kicks, all that. And that might sound a bit off, considering Maika Ozaki is a powerlifting person, much more stronger, strong leg moves, body presses, that kind of thing. Well, the way Tsukushi positioned herself with crossbodies, Maika would catch her and then throw her down quickly and then go for like a senton right fast, get her back up really quick, go for a lariat kind of moves. It was a very good, quick matchup that more or less shocked me with what I expected to go in. And unbelievably, Tsukushi defeats Maika Ozaki and moves on in 7:35. So, cool. I love this match. It's definitely something to be on the lookout for in the future. And then there's the final second round matchup to see, which was Tsukasa Fujimoto defeating Kairi. I believe Kairi is a student of Hikaru Shida. This match goes 13-14, and the knee selling here from Tsukasa Fujimoto was next level. And this might sound crazy, but can I say Tsukasa Fujimoto is the Tanahashi of Joshi this generation, with how she's kept the title relevant, how she sells for lesser opponents, weaker opponents, how she always makes a best match out of anybody, who she took over from, which was a Japanese legend in Manami Toyota, much in the same realm of Tanahashi, keeping a promotion alive. I mean, the list goes on. And this was kind of one of those matches where it makes you realize, my God, am I watching one of the best Joshi wrestlers of the last 20 years? And I don't think it's too far-fetched to say. But Tsukasa Fujimoto does end up making Kairi look like $1 million and wins anyways, and looks like the veteran she is. And that goes on to the Ice in Wonderland day, which is the quarterfinal matches. Ice Infinity Tournament's quarterfinal match of Maya Yukihi taking on Ram Kaicho. It goes 10 minutes, and this was another Maya Yukihi looking strong type enhancement match, where Ram Kaicho really tried her best, and another example of Maya Yukihi's skill level of bringing the best out of her opponents, too. So it's not just Tsukasa Fujimoto. Maya also has, I don't think it's quite on that level, but it's getting damn close, because what she was able to pull out of Ram Kaicho here was quite remarkable. But it was very similar to her match against Bonnie Okawa. She does end up winning regardless, and moving on. And then we had another quarterfinal match of Rina Yamashita and Tsukushi, whom, based on their previous two matches, it was a crapshoot. It was a coin flip who was to win this match. Is the more dominating, bigger person of Rina gonna go over and dominate the much smaller Tsukushi? And as it turns out, it was Tsukushi, again, trying to use her speed and flash pins and making it a high-speed match. However, in this match, Rina Yamashita was not letting her go at her pace. She knocked her down, stopped the speed, did her power moves, and then killed her in the end. This was my favorite match. Bar none. I can say that already before even getting to the rest of them. This was incredible. I believe it was just about the longest match out of the entire tournament as well. It went 11:41. There was an incredible near fall of Tsukushi doing Hurricane Rana spots, big flash pins. Really reminded me of like a WCW Rey Mysterio moveset, trying to get those flash pins, and then Rina Yamashita pulling off power moves to stop all that, much like I guess what Jericho used to do to the Luchadors, really hampering their speed. And I can say that because I have something to compare it to later when I get to Nitro. So Rina Yamashita still looks strong, and again, a former opponent of Maya gets crushed by the power of Rina Yamashita. Ominous progression, wouldn't you say? Quarterfinal match, Risa Sera against Julia. Another more or less hype match for me because of Julia's past encounter with Maya. The rookie taking it to Maya in the title match. Well, Risa Sera has a very unique moveset in the way she moves, and it almost seems like she's going through the motions, maybe to a detriment, but she is very over. She's very unique with the crowd. She stands out. She's big. And Risa Sera and Julia just basically kick each other in the face. 9 minutes later, Risa Sera does get the win over a very game Julia. Tsukasa Fujimoto defeats Hiragi Kurumi in 8:39. Not much to say about there. Tsukasa just looking great. Of course she did. And then just quickly, there was some tag matches to give the semifinal matches some rest. Hideki Suzuki and Miyako Matsumoto defeat Jiro Kushiro and Matsuyo Ueno in a intergender match. And then there was a 10-man tag team match featuring the... It was not much there. It was just everybody's in that match. Then at the end, it looks like... who was they? Who were they? Ibuki Hoshi and I think Thekla? Two of the, let's call them older Josies in Ice Ribbon look like they're going to get a tag title shot down the line. Not looking forward to that match. So our semifinal matches. Mayuki taking on Rina Yamashita, and very ominous, as I said, Rina Yamashita taking out two big opponents of Maya. And this was a very good match. Rina Yamashita looked like for a long time she was going to overpower Maya and knock her out of the tournament. Big lariats, Maya not being able to be her cocky self that she's shown in this tournament. Very dominating fashion by Rina, and it led into a finish around 11:30 where Rina was going to do her spinning sit-out powerbomb. Well, what ended up happening was Maya, upon the last ride powerbomb motion, she flips under Rina and does the Hurricane Rana pin. It was incredible to see. You could also see easily how Maya could have broken her neck, just not getting enough momentum to go under like that backwards. But she does anyways, gets a shocking win, despite being the champion going in. The former champion going in. So Rina somehow came out of this looking very strong, and Maya needing to resort to a flash pin to move on. But it also makes you realize, yes, she is the champion. She will find a way to win. And our final semifinal match is Risa Sera taking on Tsukasa Fujimoto. 12 minutes flat, it fell, and Risa Sera wasn't very good. It was Tsukasa Fujimoto trying to get Risa Sera to have a more dominating performance. How do I describe this? Risa Sera definitely fell through my criticisms in the past of her, where it looks like she's just going through the motions. And she hits a couple of her Emerald fusions, pins Tsukasa Fujimoto. It didn't feel right, but it does make for an all Azuri Revolution final. How fitting. The two tag team partners going up against each other. So we're looking at Mayuki against Risa Sera. I hope it does well and better than the Fujimoto match. Something tells me it will, because they're much closer and they know each other better. But the tournament MVP for me is easily Rina Yamashita. The runner-up is Tsukushi, and the best worker was Fujimoto, just from what she's doing. The best match, Tsukushi versus Rina Yamashita in the quarterfinals. So yeah, we got Maya versus Risa Sera, and if we remember, Risa Sera was the first one to come out to want to make a match a three-way, and was stopped, and that led to this tournament. So Risa Sera backed up her words, inserting herself to be the number one contender. Now she is the number one contender, and we're against the champion who willingly gave up her title to get to this tournament, proved that yes, indeed, she is among the best in Ice Ribbon. There's our finals. It was a good little simple watch between those three shows. I vastly enjoyed that. I do like the booking. I do like the making of Rina Yamashita being a future star, or at least top of the card opponent in the future. And they're not putting Risa Sera to the back of the line just yet. Get what you can out of her. Good stuff. Very much for it. And with that, that'll go into our wrestler spotlight.
The best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
All right. We get to talk about Greg the Hammer Valentine a little bit today. Very excited. He's one of, if not one of my most favorite wrestlers ever growing up. He's definitely high on the list. NWA US champion, as we have been going down the list, eventually getting into at least the modern retro form of someone who's not retired yet, or is retired. Wait, yeah, not retired yet. I said that right. So Greg Valentine's the 14th United States champion, the 24th reign, beating Wahoo McDaniel to gain it. Valentine would reign for 163 days from November 4th, 1982 to April 16th, 1983, eventually losing to Roddy Piper. So I watched 2 matches just to refamiliarize myself with an older Greg Valentine, not the Intercontinental WWF champion Greg Valentine. On this journey, or at least with the Wrestler Spotlight, we did cover his father, Johnny Valentine, the hard hitter, right? And I was very enamored with him. And Greg Valentine definitely takes a lot after his father. So one match I watched was the territory dispute time with the U.S. title. There was that big period in 1980 where it was Ric Flair and Greg Valentine where the territories didn't recognize their title reigns. But I did watch a 1980 match featuring Valentine and Ric Flair, and it's a lot of punching and chopping, and a lot of elbow strikes. Ric Flair doing fancy dances around the ring, which was fun to see, and Valentine looking like a threat. And it was an easy 15-minute match to watch. Valentine has this presence in the ring, or a very serious persona about him, and put him with a very charismatic guy, and he gets over immediately. And I definitely felt it. It definitely came across that way. I loved it. And then I watched a lot of promos between Valentine and Roddy Piper, and I love this feud. It was always Valentine looking serious, and the other guy doing all the talking. How do you get a guy over? Well, you put talkers with the guy who doesn't talk. It was awesome. I even watched some early WWF Intercontinental stuff in '84 where Lou Albano wanted Valentine and Piper he wanted to manage the both of them, bury the hatchet, if you will. It was a fun little promo of Piper and Valentine just sat there the whole time with his title, and Piper just going, "This is why this manager is the best ever. I'll bury the hatchet. I'll get over there," and Albano's just doing all their stats. I want them. 6'2", Roddy Piper, 200 and whatever pounds. 6'1", Greg Valentine, 250 pounds, and the Intercontinental Champion. I want them both. So I watched a lot of promos between Piper and Flair going at Valentine. There was a big one where Flair tears the jacket off Valentine. Valentine, being the serious man he is, he's gonna handle that. Piper and Valentine getting screwed by Ric Flair and beating up the refs and being fined $5,000. And at first Valentine's like, "That's a lot of money," and then Piper just goes, "But I busted Ric Flair open. You see this blood? Ha ha ha! I don't care." And then Valentine quickly has a change of heart. "You're right. We did make him bleed." Didn't really see how they got into the feud between Valentine and Piper, but you can imagine it was because of the U.S. title, and then Piper used to have it. He wants it. And what led to a very good brawling affair at Starrcade 1983 of a collar match, and I love this match. It was 20 minutes. And it starts off pretty slow with Valentine and Piper kind of playing a tug-of-war with the chain. And as they get closer, you see Piper, he kind of has the chain in a whip position when he was pulling it in. Whacks Valentine. Valentine would fight through a lot of the chains to get his advantage. There was a lot of choking, a lot of gruesome-looking chain around the neck, chain around the mouth, chain around the eyes. Cool incident, I say, where Valentine opened up Piper's ear in a match prior to this, which cut short Piper's U.S. title reign to about a 2-week span, blood stoppage, and that's what put Greg Valentine over heavy duty and made this feud get over, which led to this collar match. So they go back and forth. It's just a brawl, and that's what Valentine was. He was a brawler. And unlike Sergeant Slaughter, where it just felt like he was meandering around the ring a lot, and I was never into it as Cobra Clutch, kind of a lame move kind of situation, Valentine just did it for me. And there's just nothing I could really say to put my finger on like what it is, but it was definitely involved with his serious look and the way his strikes just looked so good, kind of like a guy coming out of Memphis kind of situation. But he was from Seattle, so it wasn't the case. Yeah, so definitely go watch a couple matches with Valentine and Flair, and the collar match at Starrcade 83. I ended up watching a good chunk of Starrcade 83. That's headlined by Ric Flair taking on Harley Race in a steel cage for the big NWA title. Cool match there. Greg Valentine. If you don't believe me, go watch some of his NWA stuff. Something I've never dived into. Always more familiar with his WWF work much later in his career, and especially his Tito Santana feud. I'm very familiar with that one, with the big cage match, and always seemed to be stuck in the mid card, never getting to the top. But that was a good place for Greg Valentine. I really liked him there. He came across much better. He was a good worker, made it seem real. I liked it. So now, for the next hour, just about, we're going to go into the Wrestling Weekly recap of MLW episode 72-73, joined with my mom, who's a lapsed fan, come back, and I hope you guys enjoy. Here we go. Yes, it is Weekly Wrestling Recap here on the RedLeafRetrocast. Major League Wrestling episodes 72 and 73. I am now joined by the recurring host from this point forward in the Weekly Wrestling Recap. Is my mother, Donna. Mom, how you doing?
Woo! Hear the crowd roar.
Hear the crowd roar. The biggest Mountie fan ever has arrived.
I'm the crowd. Yeah, so cool. Glad to be here. I'm a WWE fan from way back, so this is kind of new for me. I've never heard of it, never watched it, so it was pretty fun to watch. It was like watching back in the older days when I used to watch it with you. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah, you haven't watched wrestling on a weekly basis. This is going to be normal now, at least for this show. Since the 90s, with the old WWF and WCW. And when we used to go to the shows together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking back, actually, when, because it is September, and in 2001, when 9/11 happened and the tragedy with all of that, and actually WWE, or is it WCW? Which was it then?
We went to SmackDown in 2001. Because WCW,
okay.
WCW I think had just closed down.
Okay. So what was cool about that, not cool, but that event, sporting event, was the very first event that happened, that sporting event was the first sporting event to be broadcast after the tragedy. It was the first back to normal, somewhat.
Yeah, it was
normal.
the big first mass gathering at a sporting event.
After 9/11.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because a lot of, any kind of event was canceled because of that tragedy. So, 18 years ago it happened.
Mm-hmm.
So sad, very sad. But
on a much lighter note,
right? But on, I think what was important was trying to get back to normal, and that was the first event to do such. So that was pretty cool. Anyway, on another note, bringing me back into this new wrestling,
new era,
Major League, and Major League Wrestling. So kind of cool.
It's free on YouTube. Every episode's about an hour long, and starting in October, which is next month, on Wednesday nights is AEW All Elite Wrestling on TNT, which is more or less taking the place of what used to be WCW in the 90s, if we're going to compare kind of size and television presence to it all. And the fact it's on TNT, the same channel as WCW, is kind of like a good callback. And that's with what All Elite, the difference between Major League Wrestling, All Elite Wrestling, and WWE is Major League Wrestling is kind of this small startup company, right?
Okay.
All Elite Wrestling is a conglomeration of a bunch of, I guess, indie guys or guys that kind of made it outside WWE, with the exception of one person whom thought he wasn't being used properly in the system, right? He was just another cog in it. And he ended up quitting and getting together with a lot of these guys, and together they got this big deal to make a big show. The show was a hit, and then they made their own company with the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And one thing led to another, and now they have a television deal, and it starts in October, which I'm trying to get tickets to the second TV show, which is in Boston. Haven't been able to get a ticket for that yet, but I did just get yesterday their first pay-per-view after their TV debut, called Full Gear. I'm driving to Baltimore on like a little road trip for myself.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's AEW. So we'll start watching that in October, but for now, we're concentrating on Major League Wrestling, episode 72 and 73. So, Mother, you took notes over these shows. I will fill in the gaps of any of the notes that you have.
Well, what really surprised me, I wasn't expecting it, because I really didn't do any reading up on it or anything like that. So
right. So
which probably was a good thing, because I was quite surprised to see the nephew of Bret Hart's nephew, Teddy Hart, and under the Hart Foundation. I thought that was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. I figured that would be one thing. Yeah, I had you watch episode 71 as a kind of entry to get used to a little of the storylines and who some of the guys are, and then when you watch the next two, you'll be a little bit more familiar and be able to put things together.
Right. But I was really surprised that he lost that fight.
He did not lose.
I thought he did.
No. But that was the main event of episode 72. All right.
The world middleweight. I thought he did against MJF.
No, MJF lost that match. But
maybe I have to watch it again.
I guess so. So the show started with a goofy mugshot of Mance Warner being arrested.
Okay.
And
right, yeah.
From last week's show where
the Southern Psycho.
Yeah, where he did the Chainsaw Massacre style chase scene to Zelina De La Renta. So she called the cops on him, I guess, in between the shows, and got him arrested. So it showed his mugshot, which was quite funny to look at. His big goofy face.
Right. Like he was a deer in a headlight kind of thing.
Yeah. Where'd my light beer? Where'd my light beer at? I'll go to jail, but I just need my light beer. And the first match was... Who was the first match, Mother?
I can't tell you that.
Well, it's not in your notes?
Oh, no, I don't have very good notes, apparently.
Well, you'll learn. It's okay. So it's Io de LA Park versus Zenshi. The person you thought was the imposter LA Park when you were texting me.
Oh, right. That's right. Where are my notes on that? Let me look. Yeah, I'm really good, aren't I?
You can only get better.
Yeah. I'm fired. I need to wear a fired hat. Whoops. I think I should have blocked my cough. Shit, I didn't take very good notes then.
Okay, so how about this? I thought the match was really fun. It started the show off well. My favorite, this is what I like doing. I like writing down my favorite spot of the match, my favorite move. And in this one, it was Hiho Park catching a Hurricane Rana on the floor. He caught Zenshi and then swung him into the guardrail real hard and then powerbombed him onto the side of the apron.
You know, that's one thing that I kind of really liked about watching the Major League Wrestling was that there was a lot more, to me, it's a lot more action. A lot more going on, a lot more rumbling. A lot more, it just seems more action to me.
It flows well. Yes.
Yeah, it really did.
It feels like you're watching a show.
Yeah, well, and you should be, you know. There's not, yes, of course you have your talking and all of that, but the majority of it is what it's supposed to be, what you're paying for, wrestling.
Yeah.
And being entertained, you know, instead of watching all the BS talking.
The 20-minute long talking segments, and they just go on and on. And
then you maybe got about 10-15 minutes, if you're lucky, of actual wrestling.
Yeah. Well, we got a lot here. We got I really liked the moment where Zenshi stood on the turnbuckle and went diagonally across the ring, coast to coast, to drop kick the dude in the corner. That was real cool. I don't think I've ever seen that before. And then, surprisingly, to me anyways, Zenshi wins off he ducks a clothesline, goes into a spinning diamond cutter, and wins the match. After the match, Park whacked Zenshi with a chair, then swiveled his hips up a whole bunch, just like dear old dad. That's what LA Park does. He dances with a chair a lot.
Oh, okay.
He's the chairman.
As in chairman?
Exactly. That's the joke.
Yeah,
you got it.
Yeah, good.
We had the Hart Foundation TV segment. They call it H2 TV, like the second generation Hart Foundation, H2 TV.
Okay.
Very strange segment. I couldn't follow it one bit. It was Teddy Hart and Brian Pillman Jr. You'd probably remember his dad, Flying Brian Pillman, like crazy curly hair looking guy, crazy eyes. Anyways, this is his son. That's his son.
Okay.
Teddy Hart mocked MJF about his father paying Teddy money to not do any Canadian destroyers. His finisher, by the way.
Okay.
Pillman sarcastically made a comment about carrying MJF's bags. It was very nonsensical. It was in their hotel room off a hand cam. It's kind of weird. Low Key does an interview with a girl named Casey Lennox. I finally wrote her name down. On shows past, I just keep calling her the interview girl. Finally got her name. Low Key was talking about champ Teddy Hart when the Contra Unit logo flashed on the screen. Contra made it personal by attacking Low Key, so he will introduce them to his exceptional professional presence. He's the bald, dark voice kind of guy.
Well, isn't he from Japan?
Low Key? No, he's from New York.
Oh. I thought he was...
He's wrestled in Japan.
Okay, maybe that's where I got it from.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then we got a couple more segments here. More Contra Unit War Chamber hype talk. That's with your Arabian-looking dude, your main event heavyweight champion in the next episode. They did a little hype video. We get Zelina De La Renta she admits she calls the cops on old Manser. And Jimmy Havoc, the British dude, gothic-looking British dude, saying he'll be waiting when he gets out of prison. We get a hype promo from Tom Lawler and the monotone Von Erichs. Crazy eyes, Tom Lawler. My description of his little promo, and they also hype the War Chamber. So if you haven't gotten this yet, Contra Unit is facing off against Tom Lawler with his buddies in a kind of crazy hardcore cage match.
Well, I saw that the War Chamber rules with the barbed wire on top. I mean, that's some pretty serious.
It's a serious match. You don't escape the War Chamber.
Well, apparently not. And let's see, they win by submission, surrender, or a pinfall.
Correct.
Yeah.
Once everybody's in the match.
See some notes I took.
Yeah, there you go. That's going to be episode 74, I believe, is the War Chamber. In Dallas, Texas is where it's at.
Yes, it is. That is correct.
Yeah. I wonder if you can go. It's a simple drive from Houston.
Yeah, that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, that ain't gonna happen. All right, so these are this is my favorite segment recurring on MLW. It is called The Lifestyles of the Rich and Dynastic.
Okay.
It is Richard Holiday. He made a pillow with the phrase "Life is beautiful" to celebrate all their championship gold. This is the three douchebags in the room talking about how great and rich they are.
I saw that. Yeah.
So right. Holiday made this pillow with the goofy catchphrase, and he's the only one excited about the pillow. Everyone goes, "That's really lame," kind of deal.
It is stupid because he didn't even spell it right.
Well, that's the joke. It's beauty-full. They're full of beauty. They're beautiful. They're beautiful and successful.
Yeah. So I really got it, didn't I?
Yeah.
I just thought he spelled it wrong.
No, it was definitely on purpose. Then Holiday and MJF kind of joke to each other. They talk about all the scum of the earth they hate. And MJF lists off fat people, hate them. Poor people, hate them. Ugly people, the worst. Because they're dicks, mother. You get that?
I got that.
Yeah.
They're total dicks. Isn't that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's exactly what I said.
Just confirming.
Then they make reference to Brian Pillman Jr. saying he's all three of those things: fat, poor, and ugly.
Right.
And Holiday will wipe the floor with Pillman's mullet next week in a match. Bear in mind, that match did not happen.
That's right. It did not.
It did not happen. So I guess we'll get it in 74. And my favorite part was Hammerstone. He's the big muscly guy. He's totally enamored with his new Rolex watch, the gift he got from MJF last week. And he's like, "Did I tell you guys that this is my first watch I've ever owned?" And I'm like, "Yes, 1,000,000 times, Hammerstone." Then he says he's going to bring back Japanese gold from Noah, which is a Japan wrestling promotion. And then they douchily pound fists.
Right.
And then we got our main event.
And the girl is whose girlfriend?
That is MJF's girlfriend, Aria Blake. She her job is to be pretty, basically.
She's not that pretty.
Ouch. And we got our main event. What'd you think of the main event? Now that you know Teddy Hart actually won.
Well, I've slept since then, but the main event was pretty exciting.
Mm-hmm. It was for the middleweight championship. It was Teddy Hart's. He's the champion going in.
Okay.
MJF cut a pretty simple promo. He kisses Aria Blake's ass as she entered the ring. I thought that was funny.
That was funny.
Mm-hmm. Teddy Hart came out with his awesome cat, Mr. Velvet, the real star.
That poor cat. He grabbed her by the neck.
Oh, that was your concern?
Yeah.
Not the fact that the cat looks petrified coming out there.
I thought the cat was on drugs, actually.
You think he sedates the cat?
Yes. It's not normal for a cat not to have any reaction. I mean, the cat's tail was not moving, and it looked like kind of like Grumpy Cat. But
it's really funny because Tony Schiavone on commentary made a reference to Grumpy Cat.
I know. I heard him, and he was true. And I agree, because that cat, I'm telling you, that cat was medicated. There's no way in that kind of a crowd, any normal cat would be clawing to get away. That cat was not normal. And then on top of it, he grabbed the cat by the neck and hands it off to the girl and or whoever.
Well, that's what veterinarians do. They pick the cat up by the neck. Yeah. But I didn't like it. Does he come out with that cat all the time? Not every time.
Okay.
I think now that I think of it, I think for title matches he brings out Mr. Velvet.
That's the cat's name.
Yeah, his cat's name's Mr. Velvet.
Okay.
It's a pretty good name, right?
Well, I thought it would be Snowball, actually.
Oh, well.
It should be Snowball.
Do you like the way Teddy Hart dresses for his matches?
Yeah, I was looking at that. I'm like, not really.
Not really? You think it's too goofy? No. He comes out in like custom sweatpants?
Well...
Watch the mic, don't hit it.
I don't know, it's kind of juvenile looking.
Juvenile?
They look like pajamas.
Well, yeah, they are pajamas.
Oh! Well, juvenile pajamas.
Okay.
All he needs is a blanket and a bottle, and, come on now.
A bottle, not an alcoholic bottle.
No, baba.
Okay.
He needs a baba.
So what?
He could put a nipple on the alcohol bottle.
Oh, he certainly could. He certainly could. So the best part of this match was definitely MJF.
But is that his thing?
That is his thing.
Get-up thing?
Yeah,
that's having his thing. Those funky clothes? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Best part in this match was MJF applying the sharpshooter, Bret Hart's move. Crowd booed real hard. I don't like that. And the match ends with Aria Blake tossing her high heel to MJF, which distracts the ref.
Well, actually, I thought MJF was gonna spike Teddy Hart.
Oh, you thought he was gonna heel him in the face?
Yeah, because someone actually killed somebody with a stiletto. I was in some episode I watched.
Okay.
But stilettos are very dangerous.
Well, I mean, that's why the ref had to stop. Didn't want to see anyone get impaled by a high heel.
Right.
Which begs the question, why would MJF do it? Well, the answer was it was to distract the ref as Aria Blake hit Teddy Hart in the nuts from behind. Teddy Hart kicks out regardless, and during the distraction, Hart goes up to the top rope and hits a Canadian Destroyer to win the match. And that was the end of episode 72. Episode 73. What do your notes say over this one, mother?
Don't call me mother.
All right, Donna. I can call you by your first name if I want.
I don't know if I like that either.
What should I call you then? Duna? Like you have written in Discord?
Well, what caught me by surprise? Okay, here's who won on that one. Was Injustice. Injustice won against who are they? Gringo Locos?
Correct. Zenshi again. You got to see him again. And Airwolf.
Right.
Yeah.
So Gringo Locos has the three guys. Airwolf, who else?
And Zenshi. Those were his two tag partners.
Oh, okay. Zenshi. Zenshi. Yeah, I couldn't. I kept looking for that. But in the Gringo Loco, they have a 19-year-old also playing with that.
That's Airwolf. Yeah, he's 19 from Minnesota.
Oh, okay. So what surprises me is what's with the masks, because that don't they do that a lot with the wrestlers down in Mexico? Don't a lot of the wrestlers down in Mexico have their faces covered?
Indeed, they do. So MLW prides itself on having a kind of a hybrid wrestling style with luchadors and the lucha style, just like in Mexico.
Okay.
But yes, a lot of luchadors wear masks, and it's kind of part of their character.
Okay.
Yep.
So you never know what they really look like.
I mean, unless there's a hair versus mask match or something where their mask is on the line, then they're demasked and have to reveal who they are.
Oh, okay.
It's like that leads always to a big feud or something. They want their mask.
So who in Gringo Loco is 19?
Airwolf.
Airwolf, okay.
Yeah.
So, and then you had Jordan Oliver in Injustice, who is 19, I guess, right?
He's also very young.
Yeah, very young.
Yeah, he's the skinny little white dude.
Yeah, he's tall though. He looks fairly tall
compared to everyone else, I believe. Yes.
Yeah, he is. He's very tall. But I really enjoyed that match. It was very athletic.
That's a great way to describe it.
Very athletic match, and but I was still surprised about Injustice winning. And then beating up the ref afterwards. I didn't get that at all. Why were they pounding on him?
So that's part of their little story, why this group has come together. The referees kind of stereotype them or label them as kind of criminals in the ring, and they, actually are, so they feel like they need justice, right? And the refs are part of that problem.
So case in point is because of the brass knuckles, because they're not allowed to have brass knuckles.
You're right. That is illegal to bring in the ring, and they do it anyways.
Okay, so what other weaponry isn't allowed in the ring?
Any weapons
they bring? Oh, any weapons. So no one can bring in a gun or brass knuckles.
That's where your mind goes. No one can bring in a gun? What? Lay down for 3, I'll pin you.
Well, I'm talking about maybe a BB gun. You can take a BB gun.
An airsoft rifle.
An airsoft rifle, right?
Oh,
what other weapons would you use?
A chair. That's very popular.
But you can have those.
No, you can't.
Well, why are they always there then?
Well, it's wrestling. That's why.
So then what's so bad about the brass knuckles?
It's against the rules. You can't have the chairs.
Chairs. Well, they do anyways. They pull them out from under the ring, and then my God, there was boards and a wooden door and 2x4s and
well, yes, there's all kinds of plunder under the ring.
Okay, but no brass knuckles.
No, that came out of the guy's pants.
I saw that.
Yeah, that's where I keep my brass knuckles.
That's where I keep mine.
Yeah, you never know. Houston and Rhode Island are dangerous places.
You better believe it.
Yeah, so Injustice wins. Team looks strong, I suppose. I did like how Jordan Oliver stole the ref's shoe. It was a nice little touch.
Oh, yeah, that was... Yeah, and then what did he do with it? Did he wear it?
I don't know. He just took his shoe. Maybe he tied it to another shoe and threw it on a telephone wire.
But I did like... who was it? Let's see. Gringo Loco was spinning around... I don't remember. So the only guy I got out of Injustice name was Jordan Oliver, but I didn't catch the other two guys on that.
Myron Reed and Kodo Brazil. Those are the other two.
Was Myron Reed the one with the 2 ponytail things on his head?
No, that was Cotto Brazil. Myron Reed had like the pinkish red hair.
Okay.
Got it?
Well, he had the plastic pants. Myron Reed. He had the yellow plastic pants.
Believe you're right.
I am right.
Yeah.
But anyway, I liked it when Gringo Loco was spinning Myron around and then caught the referee by the head and knocked him out. Knocked the referee out for a while.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Poor referee. He got beat up.
Poor referee.
So after the match, we get to more segments. We get a very dull Von Erich style promo. What do you think of the Von Erichs? They're the 2 brothers that are helping with Tom Lawler.
Yeah, I saw that.
Do you remember the Texas Tornado? The wrestler?
I'm familiar with the name, but I don't.
Part of the same family.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah.
I really haven't seen the Von Erich, so I can't really make a statement about them other than near the end of of when everyone came out at the end of this match.
All right. Well, we'll get to that match in a second here because we have another Lifestyles of the Rich and Dynastic to talk about.
Okay.
So this is when Hammerstone's on the weight machine in, I guess, in a hotel.
Right. Oh, yeah. And the one guy has got the earbuds in and doing some bicycle riding.
Yeah, he's doing the stationary bike.
Yeah.
So Hammerstone is being kind of interviewed awkwardly while he's weightlifting, and he goes, "I don't understand why people get so mad when we say so handsome and smart and stunning. He didn't come out of the womb this way. He's built like a meat castle, right? He got trained to be a meat castle."
Uh-huh.
I love Hammerstone. He's ridiculous. He's like the simple muscle guy, right?
Simple-minded
muscle guy, yeah. It's funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then he loses concentration while he's talking to a girl named Georgia Smith. She's on the treadmill.
Yeah.
Apparently she was like rolling her eyes when he's saying all this stuff. And he goes, right. "What's your problem?" And she goes, me and my brother lifted heavier weights lifted heavier weights as kids. He basically calls him a pussy.
Yeah.
And he gets all flustered and, "Fine, I'll lift more." He like puts it down to like a good 100 pounds.
Oh, he put it at the very end.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no, he's gonna have a hernia. His muscles will have a hernia. There's no way.
Yeah, I love these rich and dynastic little segments with Hammerstone and company.
Hence the reason why he's a simple-minded muscle man.
Yeah, just well, I'll prove you wrong. Roll your eyes, will you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then we got our main event, the Heavyweight Championship. Tom Lawler facing the champion of, what's his name, Mother?
Jacob Fatu.
Yeah.
The fat guy.
The fat guy. I don't think he's that fat. He's pretty strong.
Well, he looks fat.
Does he? So this guy reminded you of somebody, you were telling me.
Kabbalah, or whatever that guy's name was.
Kamala?
Kamala, yeah.
The African dude with the moon and he'd rub his belly?
Maybe.
Or are you thinking of the tag team Head Shrinkers?
Oh, that's what I'm thinking of. You're right.
Well, he's the son.
Yeah. No way.
Yes, I believe he's the son or the cousin. Let me fact check this.
Wow. Okay.
But yeah, he's all part of the same family. I think he's the cousin of The Rock as well.
Okay.
Yeah, he's he is the nephew of the Head Shrinkers. But yes, he is
wow.
Yeah, he's related to that like whole family. He's part of that whole family.
Wow. And he has a lot of their mannerisms.
Yes.
From when I used to watch them fight. Yeah, cool.
Do you remember Rikishi? He was a member of. He was a head shrinker, and then he gained a bunch of weight. He would wear the thong and put his butt in people's face in the corner.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, same guy. So that's the uncle of Jacob Fatu here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's also the one that trained him to wrestle.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
So where is he from? Jacob Fatu. Where are they from?
I think he's from Southern California.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. The family's from like the island of Samoa because they're all Samoans.
Oh, okay.
That's the lineage there.
Because I'm like, they don't look like any Californian. No native Californian there. No blonde hair, blue eyes.
And then Tom Lawler, he's an ex-MMA fighter.
Okay, because I was that was one of my questions because of his cauliflower ears. I'm like, man, he had to be in MMA because those guys in MMA have god awful cauliflower ears.
Yep, he's a former MMA. I believe he was a champion at one time in UFC.
Wow. But you know what really struck me funny on watching that was when he was doing the Three Stooges, Curly. With the hands over the face, you know, I'm ready for the Three Stooge act to come next. You know, it just cracked me up because I'm like, what's he doing that for, other than getting himself all riled up? But
yeah,
it just struck me as a Three Stooge move, Three Stooges move.
I like Tom Lawler. He actually comes to the local scene out here every now and again. And does some wrestling matches. He's really fun to watch. He hits real hard.
Does he?
Yeah, he slaps the chest of the dude as hard as he can.
So they were talking about broken ribs. How did he get broken ribs or seriously bruised ribs to be in that fight? What couldn't have been good for him if he's just getting over broken ribs or seriously bruised ribs.
So Fatu's offense made sure to work the midsection, and that came a little bit later in the match. They kind of said that he's been getting the crap kicked out of him. Tom Lawler has been getting beaten, and he's had some midsection issues because of these beatdowns faced from Jacob Fatu and Contra. They put some stats before the match, which I thought was very interesting. It says Fatu on offense is 88% in their first match together. Lawler's strikes landed less than 14.5%.
Right.
Even though he's an MMA guy, so that's what made the first match so wild. Was it just seemed so one-sided? Well, this time this is their rematch because Lawler used to be the champion before Fatu beat him for it.
So how long has Fatu had this?
I think he won it in
title
June or July. It hasn't been that long.
Oh, okay.
Maybe
so a couple of months.
Yeah, it hasn't been long at all. But Lawler wasted no time coming out, throwing blows once Joseph Samael introduced his stablemate Fatu. All hail Contra, as he kept saying.
Right.
Reminds me of the Iron Sheik from back in the day. If you remember him.
For somebody to having bruised ribs, broken ribs, or whatever, he was able to put him Fatu on his shoulders and spin him around and throw him on the ground.
Pretty cool, right?
Not that it did him any good, but I'm like, holy crap, that's a big man to put on your shoulders.
Yeah, I believe Fatu's like 300-something pounds.
He is. He's 300 pounds, 6'2". He's 6'2", 300 pounds. He's a big boy.
So yeah, Lawler, with his flurry, was stopped by Fatu, worked his ribs hard for the next 5 minutes. Lawler sold this very well, gasping for air more and more as time went on. Made his big comeback, did the airplane spin, which you spoke about. And the match ends with Samael realizing that Lawler is in control. This isn't looking good for the champion Fatu. Gets on the apron. Lawler does a rookie mistake. Goes after the manager. hits him, but then turns his back. Samael gets a railroad spike, spikes him in the back of the head. Lawler goes down to the mat, stomach first, and Fatu then does the best moonsault ever, where it's the springboard moonsault, backflip, lands, goes halfway across the ring, lands on his back, wins the match. Post-match, Contra beats the living hell out of Tom Lawler. The Von Erich brothers come out to aid him, not helping. Another Contra member, the Japanese guy, I forget his name right now, comes out, and we've been wondering for weeks, Mother, who's the fourth member that is going to join in the War Chamber in the fight against Contra? And that's when Low Key came out to help Lawler and the Von Erichs. His music hit, the place goes nuts.
Okay. Uh-huh.
And they fight, and they keep fighting until the show goes off the air.
Yeah, pretty cool.
So 2 episodes, what did you think of them all? What were the positives, what were the negatives?
Well,
that's like a little summary.
What I thought about them both was that they were both very exciting, very athletic. Can't wait to watch the next one. I think next week with the Dallas match, or actually tonight, right? Is the Dallas match?
Well, we won't see it perhaps for... Yeah, we won't see it for a little while until it goes up for free on YouTube, because we don't have BN Sports.
Oh, so on the 14th when it's shown on YouTube, that's a thing?
I believe that's correct.
Oh, okay.
But it will be on a Monday night when they show it on YouTube.
Ah, gotcha.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that match and whatever else is on store. I'm sure we'll see more. You haven't even seen the story or much of the storyline between Zelina De La Renta getting like revenge porned because she lost her phone to Conan. That's been going on for weeks.
How would you lose your phone?
Well, Mance Warner has been chasing after her, the Southern Psycho, and she dropped her phone as he chased her one day. And then Conan has some beef with Zelina, and he takes her phone. He's been kind of blackmailing her with what's on her phone, whether it's like nude pictures or contracts that she's been like skimming off the top kind of deal. Not telling her clients because she's the super manager of Promociones Dorado. Yeah. So there's a lot of Spanish Mexican influence in MLW, which you don't get enough of living in Houston.
Well, what's cool though is that it's bringing a lot of others into the wrestling and expanding it out and exposing us to other things other than the mainstream like you see with WWE. And so it's I like it.
Nice and quick and fun.
I like seeing it. Yeah, exactly.
And what's the negatives? You got to have some criticism.
Well, I'll tell you what I don't like is the slapping. It's like a bunch of bitch slapping going on. I'm like, what the hell is that?
What do you mean, like the big strikes across the chest real hard?
Yeah, it's just stupid. I don't remember seeing that.
It's kind of the new thing going around. Like,
yeah, it's stupid. It's like, ow.
Well, Ric Flair. Well, that's the point. Ow. Ric Flair did the big chop. The woo. Whenever he chopped.
Yeah, but it was different.
Why was it different?
Because it didn't do it over and over and over again, and it just I just think it just reminds me of a bunch of bitch slapping and then okay, let me go with something else. It's stupid. You don't see
a rhyme or reason to it. They just do it. Is that your?
Well,
or it just doesn't look good to you.
It just doesn't. It's not wrestling; it's slapping.
Well, the way wrestling was in the 90s has vastly changed from what we see today. So when we see when we see more of MLW, I'm wondering how your opinion will change over time or evolve, or maybe stay the same. And when AEW starts, that's going to be very interesting because that's different than what we see in MLW.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is the AEW like a combination of the two?
We're going to find out. They haven't had a TV show yet. It debuts in October. But it's supposed... what we kind of see is we're going to see a lot of Japanese-style wrestling mixed with the Western, while this is lucha wrestling mixed with the Western.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you consider the Major League Wrestling more of a Mexico,
Hybrid.
Japanese,
Kind of a
US,
hybrid. Yeah.
kind of a mix of the three.
Yeah. Well, that's why the show's called MLW Fusion. It's a fusion of styles.
Yeah.
So those were the two shows. Who's your favorite? So I'm just going to do some questions for you, just to get everybody introduced to you. Who's your favorite wrestler on the show in these two episodes?
Well, believe it or not, I really like that too.
You like the evil Contra Unit heavyweight champion Jacob Fatu, the nephew of the head shrinker.
And everybody boos him, and I like his style of wrestling. I like
fair.
him as a wrestler.
You like his serious evil presence?
Yeah, I'm all about serious evil.
Well,
and what was your other question?
who are some of your favorite wrestlers of all time?
Of all time? Well, Of all time.
I know one of them. I know two of them for sure.
Well, Bret the Hitman Hart for sure. He was just hot. And Macho Man Randy Savage, Slim Jim Man.
Right, Slim Jim Man, of course. Yeah, we all remember the Slim Jim Man.
Right, I really enjoyed him. And I can't go back any further than only because I started watching with you. It was just something that we did together. So that's basically who I grew up with, was when I was watching with you and how you got involved in it. Mm-hmm. Well, Ric Flair by far.
Rick Flabby.
Woo! Yeah, Rick Flabby. But a lot of those old guys, it was just that was when wrestling was entertaining. It was really, really fun, and I think that's why I'm kind of enjoying watching the
how much it's changed.
Huh?
How much it's changed or come back?
It's changed. Yeah, and I stopped watching WWE because it became all about talk and it wasn't entertaining anymore. It was just everybody talking all the time. And I'm like, get on with the damn thing wrestling. That's what I'm paying money for. That's why I'm watching this. I'm not watching it to watch a bunch of people talking in the ring.
Whoa, are you saying you watch a wrestling show to watch wrestling? Crazy exactly. That you would say such a thing.
Exactly.
Okay, Big Boss Man.
What about him?
Isn't he one of your favorites?
Well, I labeled all of my guys. Big Boss Man for sure.
The Mountie.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about the Mountie. Yeah, he was pretty cool, too.
With his cattle prod. Jake the Snake Roberts.
Oh, yeah.
Lex Luger.
Wasn't it Lex
the narcissist?
Luger? Yeah.
Okay.
The narcissist.
These are always the names that you bring up every now and again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I remember I asked you the last time you were here, you were like your 10 favorite wrestlers of all time.
Lex Luger.
Those were the names you were kind of coming up with.
Yeah. That's right.
All right.
I'd have to look at all the wrestling buddies that you accumulated through the years.
Of course. Yeah, I had them all. The only one I was really missing was Yokozuna.
That's right.
Never had that one.
Wow.
I never got that one.
Wow. I forgot about him. Back in the day.
All right, Mom. It was good having you on the show.
Hey, thank you for having me.
We'll get you back for episode 40, talking about 74 and 75. Hopefully, or at least 74. Hopefully, War Chamber will be up and we get to talk about that match.
Well, I'm not so sure about next week because I have MDA that I'm volunteering for.
Well, the podcast is only every 2 weeks. It's every other week. It's not every week.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
so we got plenty of time.
Okay. Perfect.
All right.
I will chat with you then.
All right. Thank you, Mom.
All right. Bye.
All right. That really gets me pumping Manami Toyota's music. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the MLW chat with my mom. And now we're going into All Japan Women Classics from Peroso Dream and Samurai TV, Episode 2, and varied dates in 1984 here on this show. So it was a conglomeration of matches rather than from a single night this time. We start off 1984, April 1st from Korakuen Hall, and we get Mimi Hagiwara versus Tarantula in a retirement match. I believe for both of them, actually. So, Mimi Hagiwara and Tarantula might sound familiar, because they were on episode 1. Hagiwara got, let's call it, the worst for wear against Monster Ripper, who I was very into, and I like Hagiwara's look and how she goes. And then Tarantula was in that crazy tag match, featuring all the crazy spot moves with her masked partner. Well, it was a quickly paced match featuring drop kicks, crossbodies, and looked more like a luchador match. So it was very fun, ends just as quickly, goes only to a 5-minute draw, and afterwards everyone gets flowers. Hagiwara cuts a farewell and thank you promo to end her career. I saw 2 matches from her, and sad I won't be able to watch any more on this AJW Classics journey. She stood out immediately to me and she just had that appeal with the white cape and the tiara and everything. So, I might look up on YouTube or something more matches of hers against the bigger name opponents. I'm very curious about that now. Next match was from 1984, August 25th, venue Korakuen Hall. Featured the 3A Tag Championship in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Was the team of Jumbo Hori and Yukari Omori, the champions, taking on Chigusa Nagayo and Lioness Asuka, aka the Crush Gals. Yes, our first match we get to see on this journey of the Crush Gals. Oh, I'm so excited. I know of them. I've seen their individual matches. I've seen just scattered, YouTube videos and clips of the Crush Gals. I've done my reading on them. Oh, I'm very excited for this. Who are Jumbo Hori and Yukari Omori? I don't know, but their names roll off the tongue. This match was red hot and even more fast-paced than that retirement match. The crowd favorites are, you wouldn't guess, Asuka and Chigusa. Yes, of course they're the crowd favorites, especially Chigusa. Asuka is the worker, Chigusa is the hot tag in this instance. The first fall happened lightning fast, with Chigusa and Asuka just quickly running roughshod over the champions, dominating fashion, getting the first fall rather quickly. It's kind of shocking to me how fast it was. And no, I did not know this was a 2 out of 3 falls match, because I thought they just ended the match in like 3 minutes. I was like, holy crap, the new champions. But no, it quickly went into a second fall. And Lioness Asuka grabs, I believe it was Jumbo Hori, into a big swing, and far be it from me from saying that Lioness Asuka has the best big swing I've seen in wrestling. much better than Cesaro's. She goes as fast as she possibly can. It's not about the strength and just making it seem like a spot. She makes it look like she's wanting to give this person vertigo and then slam them onto the ground. It looks fantastic. But anyways, the second fall does go much slower. It's in favor of Jumbo Hori and Omori. Jumbo uses her bigger build to gain control, eventually leads to an electric chair crossbody on Asuka to get the second fall. Looked pretty cool, especially for the early 80s. The third fall had the crowd on their feet and screaming, especially the females in the audience, just shrieking. Just banshee-like screams of "Go Chigusa" and Asuka. The double team isolation on Chigusa lasts most of the time. Finally tagging in Asuka. So I know I said earlier that Asuka took the brunt of being the worker, but into the second fall, for a few minutes, they isolated Chigusa and got some heat on her because she's the crowd favorite. So she finally tags in Asuka, taking out Jumbo Hori with rapid headbutts and a top rope backdrop, just showcasing Asuka's strength despite being much skinnier and leaner than all the other women in the ring there. Hori kicks out of a double team maneuver via she's in a backdrop position from Asuka, and she double kicks Chigusa off the top rope, which Chigusa sells like a champ. She goes straight to the apron. Regardless, though, she tags in her partner Omori, and Asuka does stop Omori from doing any sort of hot tag situation, right in her tracks. Chigusa's back on the apron, regained her composure, gets tagged in, hits a few of her quick moves in succession with her big signature kicks, rolls through into a German suplex to get a last-second pin. New champions, crowd goes insane. Love this match. It's fucking fantastic. Move on to date 1984, September 17th at Otto Ward Gymnasium. And this was a Fuji TV Tag League match, which preceded the World Championship match that was in the main event. This was the Crush Gals again, now champions, facing off against Dump Matsumoto, I am not making that name up, and Crane Yu, aka the Gokuaku Dome team, which was, and I looked this up, I was very curious, because this looked like a legit tag team faction type situation, and sure enough, the face paint and the heavy metal look that Dump Matsumoto and Crane Yu had, they were indeed Dump Matsumoto's faction, Gokuaku Dome, and it included Bull Nakano, which came in later. So there you go there. Makes you immediately they look like Kiss characters, to say the least. Chigusa was very kick-heavy in this match compared to being the one waiting on the apron or being beaten down previously. She hit many of her kicks, again, some of her submission moves this time as well, abdominal stretches and the like. The Crush Gals even did a double spike pile driver against Crane Yu at one point. This triggered one of the many heel tactics from Dump going forward. So the team's looking in bad shape. Dump gets in, mostly involving just stopping the ref's count at first, just getting in the ring, just going, don't do it, and she's pointing at her head saying she's smart. Matsumoto and Crane Yu are not the fittest looking women, to say the least, but their gimmick look does the trick regardless. Then Dump Matsumoto introduces a garden bucket into the ring as a weapon. No DQ, by the way. It's very much the ref's discretion here in All Japan Wrestling, All Japan Women's Wrestling. Bucket gets used a couple times. Lioness Asuka does end up getting it, taking out via bucket shot Matsumoto and Yu. Then Dump goes to the outside, introduces a chain into the fray, and this is when the match just gets out of control with other wrestlers just brawling in the ring. They bring more chains in. The ref just has enough, throws the match out. The crowd's just the crowd's just going crazy for all this. It's very hot. I loved it. I think the crowd reaction had a lot to do with it. They were just very enamored with it. I loved the fact that titles were not on the line. However, this does not end their feud. Clearly, I want more. I did not mind this no contest finish. I'm looking forward to their next encounter and this feud continuing. So, on to the World Championship match. It was actually a double title match. The 3A World Championship held by La Galactica, whom we saw in episode 1 win the title from Jaguar Yokota. And Jaguar Yokota is now the UWA World title holder. This match was, in a word, epic. I was pretty peeved with their first encounter. I witnessed in episode 1 where La Galactica's big friend just interfered to no end and being basically a handicap match mess. Very much rubbed me the wrong way. Well, that played into my much happier affair in this match. This one was way different in everything I could have wanted. So I don't know whether this was by design. It very well could have been, easily could have been, where I don't want La Galactica's big friend to get involved this time. I want a straight one-on-one match. This was title for title. Yeah. It definitely, I think, contributed. So, had that big match feel. Galactica was super rough and brawling character, including jumping Jaguar from behind, brawling outside, throwing into chairs. Not to say the moves Galactica wasn't impressive. She did have her few spots. There was a reversal where Galactica threw Jaguar over the top rope and then followed it up with just a crazy spinning suicide dive. She goes like horizontal through the ropes, wanting to do a cross-body suicide dive, but ends up doing a horizontal like forearm suicide dive instead. The Jaguar comeback was epic, because that is my word of this match. It started with a tombstone counterweight reversal into one of her own, followed up with running drop kicks to Galactica to stop her, including one from the top rope, because Galactica wanted to go to the top rope and hit her big move. Not going to happen with the wild Jaguar Yokota. Galactica even bleeds through the mask. Must have missed how it happened, but I think it was falling from the apron and being torn at through the mask, because Jaguar's not going to have the heel get the better of her this time. Pulling out all the stops, Jaguar just looks very furious and intense. Just added to the match intensity with Jaguar just getting the best of this dirty heel. Then Jaguar had an answer on Galactica for everything, including a top rope double arm suplex to finally just put the nail in the coffin on her. Galactica goes for a clothesline as they're running the ropes. Jaguar Yokota ducks it. She does the lucha lip up. It's when they do the somersault, and then as they salt onto their head, they flip to their feet. Jaguar does this move. It makes the crowd just pop to no end. Jaguar gets the Jaguar Special, aka the cross arm German suplex, to win. Highly recommend this match. New champion. I'm all about the Jaguar Yokota and the Crush Gals. Love them all. I'm very curious to where Dump Matsumoto will come into the future, the big heel tag faction. And she's got the goofiest name in wrestling that I've come across so far. So there you go. A very easy to watch All Japan Women's Classics. So yeah, there you go. I'm looking forward to episode 3. That is my weekly that is my podcast retro wrestling show that I'm enjoying 2 for 2, while Nitro is slowly slipping through my emotional fury. All right, next we gotta move on. Got a lot to talk about here. Let's see. Where are you, Drop? There you are. Yes, Mayu Iwatani's music. All right, so something's happened with Stardom and their online service. They've had some uploading troubles recently, so I was only able, before this podcast, they only had really one more day up, and that was day 3, the Osaka afternoon show that took place on August 25th. They have scattered singles matches for like 4 other days up, and I don't want to watch those scattered matches before this podcast, as to not be spoiled or get my half opinions, if you will. I do know that Utami Hayashishida has broken her fingers, and she's now been taken out of the 5-star Grand Prix. All of her points will go to her opponents now. Very unfortunate, but let's talk about the matches regardless, because she does have a few singles matches beforehand, so I'm not sure if that's going to keep her out for the rest of the year, but it'll definitely keep her out for the next probably 2 months. Big shame there. Regardless, Momo Watanabe versus the Yankee Devil Saki Kashima. Saki Kashima tries to go for her revival pins, just like she did to cheat against Mayu Iwatani. The dirty cheater goes 333 and loses because Momo Watanabe is better than that and kicks her head off, getting the 2 points. Very happy finish here. Very much deserved. Momo gets 2 more points. Azumi versus Hazuki. Will Hazuki get back on the winning board, or will the young gun Azumi shock? Well, they have a high-speed match. Seems to be the theme of this cast. How fast can we go? They go 5:48, and Azumi hits some double foot stomps, making her knees look like they're going to break at any moment. She beats Hazuki. What is happening with Hazuki? I thought she'd play spoiler in this tournament. Is that her only role? Is Azumi breaking out? I don't know. I'm very disappointed in this. I expected this to be an easy win for Hazuki. But if anything, I suppose, we could look at it that Hazuki is being pushed to the back of the line in the high-speed title chase, with Azumi getting a victory here, and going forward to go against Riho in the future for the high-speed title. So shocking result. Good match, though. Yeah, it's about what you expect. Okay. Andres Miyagi versus Jungle Kiona. This has been building as, I don't know how to describe it. It's they've had their oil muscle off with Kiona cutting promos in bath towels, and Miyagi just saying she's going to show us the real Miyagi. Well, the pre-match promo here must not be glossed over. Andres Miyagi is wearing pigtails. She wants to show us the real Andres Miyagi. She will not be defeated. And then she plays her a single note on her recorder, and I'm so confused. Baffled even. And then it cuts to Jungle Kiona, in which she looks like a school teacher. Wrestling fetishes just rejoice at this. She's going to teach Andres Miyagi a lesson. She's even wearing the hot glasses. It's not something anyone can take lightly. It makes your knees buckle when you see Jungle Kiona like this. It's impossible not to just immediately fall in love with her. Impossible. So they come out to the ring, have their entrances. Andres Miyagi has a school backpack on. Refuses to take it off. Jungle Kiona tells her she's being a bad girl, a bad wrestler, I don't know. Andres Miyagi has a slight childlike tantrum saying, yada, I don't wanna, kind of situation. Then they have a 5-minute match. And Miyagi wins via the heel tactics of backpack warfare, so to say. Jungle Kiona does not teach Andres Miyagi a lesson. It is a comedy gimmick match that could not have gotten over any better. Poor Jungle Kiona sitting at 0 points 3 days in. What a bummer. But I think she just gained a huge fan base, to say the least. Then we have our main event. Arisa Hoshiki taking on Natsuko Tora. 10 minutes, and going in, they both have 0 points. Arisa and Natsuko have a bad 10-minute match. It was awful. They couldn't brawl. They couldn't do the brawling style to hide Natsuko's very limited moveset. They couldn't go to the outside. It was Natsuko going for spears, going for clotheslines. I guess they tried to do some heel things, but it just fell flat. Arisa just kicks her head off in the end, Brazilian style, gets her first 2 points. Don't watch this match. It wasn't good. I hated it. I'm so glad I saved the Miyagi-Kiona match for last. Not on purpose. I'm just like, I don't want to see Natsuko Tora match, like that. It was exactly what I was expecting and worse. So, what lies ahead? Well, we still don't know quite enough about the point schedules. Everyone seems to be kind of evening out at this point. I guess we'll see more going forward and how the upload schedule goes. I'm very much curious to see how Hazuki is going to fare going forward. Who is Jungle Kiona going to get her first points over? I haven't looked at the schedule, but I'm still riding strong on that whole Jungle Kiona is going to pin champions and maybe have a spoiler win down the line. I don't expect her to be at the top. And Arisa Hoshiki is probably going to have that Naito role of being the champion going in and then losing at the beginning and then rolling through the rest situation. There you go. That was Stardom's 5-Star Grand Prix Day 3 Osaka afternoon show. And now it's on to the 3 big shows. Oh my god. Time to play a drop. Alright. Cue that Beethoven Symphony. Indeed. NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff. So, kind of a short review, I must say. Because TakeOver Cardiff as a card and a whole show, going into it, I wasn't impressed. Coming out of it, I wasn't impressed, but I was happy I watched it. It was, the builds I thought lacked. Even though the pre-video packages tried to do their best, I could really see through a lot of how these matches have been built, and I was not a fan. So let me just go through these one at a time, and then I will get to something I noticed on this show, which really took me out of a lot of it. Noam Dar defeats Travis Banks in a 14-minute match, and wrestling-wise, it was fine. It was good. They had a WWE match, though. I've seen Banks and Dar have 15-minute matches in the past, and they didn't look like this. I don't like the way Travis Banks has his moveset be so less intensive. And then Noam Dar is less speedy than what I've seen him at. So this match goes a regular 10-minute affair. Then they have a big spot. Crowd chants, NXT. 2 minutes later, there's another big spot for the babyface. In this case, it's Noam Dar. Then the crowd will chant, not fight forever, but more NXT, or they might chant the guy. And then they have the finish of the face going over at around the 13 to 14 to 15 minute mark. Cesaro teased that he'd show up at NXT UK Cardiff. He was being interviewed, and he just wants to fight someone. Well, Dragunov kind of growls at him, and then goes out, and he wants Cesaro. They have a good match. It was very entertaining, but in the end, it led to exactly what was my fear going into this, where just like how Finn Balor showed up and just put down Jordan Devlin, Cesaro comes out and puts down Ilya Dragunov. Not to mention that Dragunov is now on a big losing streak. He was on a winning streak, and then he loses to Cassius Ohno. Then he's been losing on house tours to Kona Reeves, and now he comes in and loses to Cesaro, whom never wins a match on WWE TV. So, and in fact, Cesaro, a day later, or 2 days later, he just shows up on Raw and just loses a match to The Miz. So, all this tells me is Dragunov isn't all that he's cracked up to be in the totem pole. And it makes, to me, in my opinion, it makes NXT UK look weaker, right? It makes it look like they are development. And you shouldn't take these guys as seriously as the guys that are on Raw and SmackDown. And being that Cesaro is on the low end of the totem pole there, it just rubbed me the wrong way how this went down. Rather than see like Cesaro team up with Ono or someone else, that's not kind of a UK star in the making for NXT UK take the fall here. There was a 40 swing spot by Cesaro. Didn't look as good as Lioness Asuka's swing, but the sheer length of it was a fun little spot. We got our tag title match. It became a triple threat. The story going into this was Grizzled Young Veterans and Gallus have been fighting. The Gallus team is Mark Coffey and Wolfgang. They a team I have never gotten behind because I see Joe Coffey as the tag specialist and Wolfgang as the single star to make. GYV they are tag masterpieces. They just know how tag wrestling works. Gibson knows how to be the heel, and Drake knows how to be the athletic worker of the two, right? They work in tandem so well. I've seen them live. They just do all those little things, and in this match, there was no exception. They did all the little things. Mark Coffey is a slow, brooding man who needs to be in tag matches to hide his many flaws, but with his brother, they just work much smoother together. I didn't get that feeling with Wolfgang. The third team was one that wanted to be in the match. They are the Welsh team of Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Andrews, whom haven't tagged for like a decade. It's been a long time, right? So these two were put together for the sake of being Welsh. Now, is that necessarily a bad thing? No. Them going over in the match and winning the tag titles, is that a bad thing to win in their hometown? No. However, I have seen my fair share of WWE. I have seen, just in recent memory, a team winning on their home turf just to shortly lose the titles again, right? That happened with Mustache Mountain winning the tag titles against Undisputed Era in England, and then as soon as they came back, they lost. So I totally see the Welsh team of Andrews and Webster just dropping these titles again. Probably, in this case, to Imperium, the knockoff Ring Conf group of NXT UK. Because why Ring Conf wasn't in this match, in the four-way match, and winning the titles here is baffling to me from a booking perspective. But the story was the Welsh team had to prove themselves to get into this, to make it a three-way. They beat both teams. They beat Gallus, and then I believe Webster and Andrews beat both members of GYV individually to earn their keep. So at least there was a fighting story to this, which I appreciate. As weak as it is, simple is better in this case. The match itself was who can flip the most. It was just Webster and Andrews just flipping everywhere all the time. It was fantastic. Drake and Gibson doing all the little things to try and stop the motions, gain some heat. Gallus just being the big Scottish fighters, but trying to... It molded so well. It was very fun to watch. It went 20 minutes. However, because I just watched 2 matches that did the exact same thing with 10 minutes. Faces do the spot. NXT. 12 minutes. 13 minutes. The faces do another spot. NXT. Or in this case, UK. Then at 15 minutes, this is when Andrews and Webster do their big tandem duo spot. I believe it was... I don't remember what the tag maneuver was. Regardless, the pin was broken up at the 15-minute mark, and I thought, surely, because of that, now they're not winning. The heels are going to win, or Gallus or some, whatever. But the match then goes another 5 minutes, and the finish was pretty damn awesome. Of course, at the 15-minute mark, and upon the breakup, they start going fight forever. So the finish was Coffee and Wolfgang have been taken out outside by Webster and Andrews. So that leads Webster in the ring with GYV. Gibson has thrown Andrews to the outside. They hit Ticket to Mayhem, which is kind of like the 3D lung blower, on Morgan Webster. And before pinning him, Gibson signals to Drake to take out Coffee and Wolfgang because they're getting up. So Drake goes and chases after him, forgetting about Andrews just on the outside. Andrews gains composure. Shooting Star presses Gibson. They end up pinning the champions. And the Welsh team wins. Great finish. Fun match. 20 minutes. Did everything it needed to do. Despite my weirdly timed mechanics that I've been noticing, I did love this match regardless of all that. Then we got a last man standing match of Joe Coffey versus Dave Mastiff. And I thought surely a last man standing match isn't going to have the same timestamps. I was wrong. So, we're 4 matches in now. 10 minutes, they do a table spot. A second table spot. The first one, the crowd didn't react to too much because it was just a somersault into it. So Mastiff does a running cannonball into Coffee at around the 10-minute mark to get the first NXT chant. 12 minutes, they have another hardcore spot. Gets another NXT chant. 13 minutes, they brawl outside. They do a double chair running into each other because they're 2 big guys. They get a fight forever chant. They brawl upwards to the top of a scaffolding with a crash pad kind of thing. They suplex each other off at the 15-minute, 16-minute mark. So there's your big ending spot, right? So very similar to how Miz and Shane kind of went about their last man standing match at WrestleMania. So the match ends with Coffee and Mastiff on some moving crates, moving equipment crates, and Coffee just gets up before him and kicks the crate out. They're both on wheels. Kicks the crate out from Mastiff. Mastiff doesn't make it to his feet. This dies a million deaths with the crowd. They hated this finish. I thought it was a unique way to end. However, with the way that every single match has been timed the same, with the exception of the UK tag title triple threat match going that extra 5 minutes, it's at this point, it's conditioned conditioned responses. It's like one guy made every single match, and then he goes, "Okay, you guys, I've made all these matches for 15 minutes, and you're all supposed to do a regular match, however you're supposed to do it for 10 minutes, and then you go home. You do the go home motions." And that's exactly what happened, and I think that's what was taking me a lot about it. I wasn't going to be the condition fan. And because I was noticing this, I just couldn't get into them, right? Because I was expecting these spots. I was like, okay, here's this spot going to come. The element of surprise and what they were doing, I couldn't get into it. Regardless, I was going to go into the UK women's title match, Kaylee Ray versus Toni Storm, with lots of ambition, lots of hype. The story makes no sense going in with their little package. Kaylee Ray saying Toni Storm's family left her and abandoned her, and how Toni Storm pushes all of her friends away, which makes no sense because Toni Storm pursued her dream to go to Europe and become a champion, and she's a fighting champion, and this is just a WWE scripted story of, you're a babyface, you have no friends, feel sad, blah. It's supposed to be a mind game, but the words of Kaylee Ray trying to get into the head of Toni Storm didn't match Toni Storm's history, right? And we all know this. So it was very contradictory. They have a 9-minute, 52-second dud. And I thought, how? How do you put a match together involving Kaylee Ray and Toni Storm and disappoint? They did it. It is an egregious example of WWE will always give the women less time and not get over. They will put them in a position to not get over. And that's what happened here. Kaylee Ray and Toni Storm tried to work their ass off. But what ended up happening is you have 10 minutes, but you can't do those conditioned spots because you didn't go over 10 minutes. So they just have a match. Kaylee Ray does a wild lucha somersault spot from where she runs across the ring, goes to the turnbuckle, somersaults over the top onto Toni Storm, puts her in gory special ropes, gory special pin. She wins the title. It just ends. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was cool spots, but this is not what these two were made to be. So, what do you do with Toni Storm? Do you put her on NXT now with Rhea Ripley? As Rhea Ripley is now challenging Shayna Baszler for the title on just a regular show, not even on NXT going to TV to just be counter-programming to AEW. But yeah, what a dud. This pissed me off. Doesn't bode well for how they're going to book the women in the future in NXT UK. It really makes me worried. But alas, Walter Gagan Tyler Bate. NXT UK title. The story here is Walter beat the shit out of Tyler Bate weeks and weeks and weeks ago, ran him against the post, then he beats up his other friends of British Strong Style, and Tyler Bate comes back when Walter goes, "Who's my opponent for Cardiff?" And they have a little tussle, and they go, "Well, Tyler Bate's your opponent." And okay, he gets a match. So lame story aside, Walter and Tyler Bate have a 42-minute epic David and Goliath battle. Walter, not as good, I will say this right away just to get the negative, not as good as their Wembley match from last year, where it was like Andre Hogan type analogy, right? But this went 42 minutes, and it never felt conditioned. Every time something would happen, it made sense. I did feel that the Vaulter beating on Tyler Bate for 10 minutes after the powerbomb turnbuckle spot around the 5-minute mark. Powerbomb post spot. It was on the outside. So Vaulter beats him down for 10 minutes. Then we get the comeback at the 15-minute mark. So I thought surely the match was going to be about 20 minutes. Well, the way it worked was it was about another 20 minutes of Tyler Bate trying to fight back, whether it was, and he would go through motions of trying different styles. Tyler Bate would go speed, and he would be met with one giant fucking chop from Vaulter. Puts the small boy down. Tyler Bate would then try power moves, and he'd be met with one massive, giant gunshot chop and kicks to the face, puts him back down. We'd get some sleeper holds. We'd get Vaulter, then Tyler Bate would go after the leg. Vaulter's doing the wobbly, the giant won't fall motions. Tyler Bate does the airplane spin finally. Oh my god, he gets a suplex on Vaulter. Whoa, my god, it's over. And he hits a burning hammer on the big Austrian. Holy shit. And in the end, after this epic battle, Vaulter can't put Tyler away. Tyler kicks out of a massive move at 1, and Vaulter runs the ropes and hits a pumping bomber to end it. Tyler Bate gave him his best, and it wasn't enough. So who beats Vaulter? Who does it? That is a huge question going forward. Imperium stand at attention with Vaulter as champion. Is he going to celebrate? No. Is he going to goofily prance around the ring like British strong style because that is not what ring conf is about? No. He is going to go home and rest and wait for his next challenger. Yes, I'm a big Vaulter fan. What a shock. Great match. One of the best of the weekend. And that'll move us on to New Japan. Where's my drop? Where is it? There it is. Kaze ni Nare. You had to expect that drop was coming, boys. You had to. How could I watch a show from New Japan with Minoru goddamn Angry Grandpa Suzuki in the main event and not play Kaze ni Nare? New Japan Royal Quest. If you were the poor soul that watched it on Fight TV, you paid money for that. It was an atrocious mess. Luckily, it's all fixed on New Japan World. The night started hot with the 6-man tag, Ren Narita, Taguchi, Shota Umino defeating members of Chaos, the Sho and Yo, Rocky Romero. 8-minute match. Ryusuke Taguchi was way over. Cool. Juice Robinson and Kota Ibushi, a tag team I never knew I wanted, defeat the Bullet Club duo of Hikuleo and Yujiro. Not much else to say there. Tag team match of Chaos, the Birds of Prey, Robbie Eagles and Will Ospreay, defeating the Bullet Club duo, the junior tag champions El Phantasmo and Taiji Ishimori, in a 10-minute match. Ospreay looked in his best physical shape in a while at Royal Quest here. He's not taped up like a mummy. He's moving very spry, with more spring, and not looking like a junkie out of bed anymore. Will Ospreay and Eagles get the best of Ishimori. They want to challenge for the tag titles going forward. Crowd pops hard. Kind of disappointed this wasn't... Ospreay didn't get like a higher place on the card since he's so over, but with the rest of the card built the way it was, I guess it makes sense, right? So, tag team match of LIJ defeating Bullet Club. It was Sonata and Naito. against Chase Owens and Jay White. With Gato, match goes 13 minutes. You would never guess who ate the pin. Wow, Naito? No, that's Chase Owens. Of course it is. What's great about this is White and Naito are in the midst of a heavy Intercontinental title feud. And it's awesome. Jay White tries to jump Naito. Naito gets the better of him because he's not a fucking pussy geek. And he beats down Jay White, like, wants to force his eye open to be all tranquilo, like, see the way, you know, his signature, chases Jay White out of the ring, sits in the chair, all tranquilo style. I love this feud. I'm all for it. I want more. I must have it. I'm looking so forward to Jay White versus Naito. It's the black and white character of Naito versus the death black character of Jay White. Oh, it's great. IWGP Tag Team title match. God defeating Aussie fucking Open in 13 minutes. Holy crap. I love Aussie Open in New Japan. I need more of this. It starts out like your basic tag team match, you know, isolating a guy, God being the heels. They jump Aussie Open from behind to start the match. Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis don't look like pushovers here. They give it their all. They hit fidget spinner. They look like they're even going to win the title at one point. They hit their hot tags very well. Mark Davis and Fletcher are way over with the UK crowd. They're way into this match. This was the best New Japan tag match I've seen in a while. So I want Aussie Open in Tag League come the end of the year. I want them heavyweight tag champions at the end of the year, as a matter of fact. Or them challenge again at Wrestle Kingdom. That's what I want. Never openweight title match, Ishii versus Kenta. Ishii and Kenta go 20 minutes, and this was amazing. Supposedly Kenta got a concussion, like, at the 15-minute mark when Ishii clocked him real hard. But regardless, I didn't know that when I was watching. I thought it was just amazing selling from Kenta. And they're trading forearms. This was stiff. This is what I want the openweight title to be, boys and girls. I want Ishii to be the Pitbull. I want Kenta to be fucking Kenta. And coming off that hot heel turn angle, Kenta was hated. It was everything I wanted. Kenta does the Shibata moves at the start of the match, gets heavy boos. Ishii's just not having it. He gets heavy cheers. Ishii's way over in the UK, especially with his Rev Pro appearances in 2018. Well, Kenta ends up hitting a nasty-looking GTS on Ishii to win the title in the end. Holy crap. Give me more. Give me more. Kenta's okay. I hope he doesn't have like the horrible after effects. Go easy on him going forward, boys. Rev Pro Undisputed British Heavyweight title match. 1736 between Zack Sabre Jr. and Hiroshi Tanahashi. I do like the banter of Tanahashi and Zack going forward this year. They've had, I think, what is it? This is their fourth encounter? And I think we're a little bit overexposed to this feud now. Because Tanahashi keeps mocking Sabre, 1, 2, 3, I keep pinning you. Sabre's kind of in a bad hole here. So Tanahashi sells and hells. They have their technical affair. It's very good. It's very smooth, but I'm definitely overexposed to this matchup. Tanahashi shockingly hits the high fly flow for the win. New heavyweight champion in Britain. Well, how about that? Good solid match, but just couldn't quite get into it compared to their previous encounters. Then we have Minoru Suzuki taking on Okada. Oh, I adored this match. 33 minutes, 52 seconds. Oh, this was everything you could imagine a Minoru Suzuki match to be. He is just that, like, video game anime villain that just won't go down and he wants to fight. Suzuki just forearms Okada. He wants it. It reminded me a lot of their match in the rain, just with more taunting, right? Suzuki's begging Okada to hit him with his best shots. Okada hits him. He laughs in his face. Ah ha ha ha. Maniacally. heavy duty, just elbow strikes, just echoing throughout the arena. Suzuki just constantly getting the better of Okada, but he just can't hit his gotch pile driver. Just could never get it. But as the night went on, he just kept getting closer and closer to lifting the champion up to smash him down. And Okada was playing catch up the whole time. It was the best example of a simple match doing simple things with everything being in the character work. And this is why I like this match so much. Walter Tyler Bate was a battle, right? Suzuki Okada was a battle plus the character work. And that's why I put it just above it. And they were both long, epic matches. So Okada does hit the Rainmaker, pin Suzuki in the end. I highly, highly love this match. I've watched it twice. It is something that if you're not into, I will say this, if you're not into the Dragon Gate style, indie style matches of today, where it's a lot of flips at time-stamped spots, like in WWE, or if you're into the indie style of just doing shock value spots, that you won't like this match. But if you like the character work and story aspects and a hard-hitting, baiting affair, then you will not be disappointed. Okada hitting all of his key moves as usual, Suzuki baiting him on. What's there not to like, I say. And now we move on to All Out. All Out. Here we go.
The one-winged angel screams. It fuels my hopes and dreams. The best belt machine.
Yeah, best belt machine. AEW All Out, the last pay-per-view before they head to TNT TV. We start off All Out with the buy-in Casino Battle Royal Women's Title #1 contender spot on the line. Lots of fun appearances. Tennille Dashwood makes an appearance. Shazza McKenzie makes an appearance, which is real nice to see. Nicole Savoy makes an appearance, which I was very happy to see. This was a very shine and shimmer battle royal. It was great to see them mixed in with the already signed talent of AEW. Ivelisse makes an appearance, very happy there. Teal Piper was kind of in and out. She kind of showed how green she was. And there you go. I mean, we had a fun little spot of ODB from Impact Wrestling's past come in contact with Awesome Kong, Nyla Rose, and was it Brandy Rhodes? I don't think it was. Anyways, so they gotta go. Oh no, it was Jazz. It was Jazz. So the match was fun. It was a fun match. Very sloppy. A lot of people like getting thrown around and missing spots. One of the highlights was definitely Nyla Rose eliminating like half the field, being very strong, being very dominating. There was one move where she tries to power slam Priscilla Kelly out of the ring, but kind of fell out of her arms too early. It looked like Priscilla Kelly kind of flailed early, so her leg hit the rope and lands pretty hard on the apron. It looked pretty nasty. Sadie Gibbs looked very lost. Kind of has beef with B. Priestley with the whole Stardom incident where she kind of bailed on a tour because her grandfather had passed away. But there was a cool moment when B. Priestley is coming out when her card was called, and Britt Baker just gets out of the ring and tackles her on the ramp. So that was cool. So they're continuing their little rivalry. The final three come down to Nyla Rose, Britt Baker, and B. Priestley. And upon B. Priestley getting thrown out of the ring, she does the whole Sid Vicious Hulk Hogan Royal Rumble spot, holds Britt Baker's arm. Nyla Rose throws her out. She's the winner. So, probably the right decision. I'm very for it. They're making a new star that no one's heard of. Not really anyways. And Sadie Gibbs, a lot of the other women aren't signed yet. Number 21, the Joker card, was Mercedes Martinez, who came out to a huge pop. I want to see her signed immediately with Ivelisse in AEW, especially now, and Nicole Savoy. Those are my three. I must see them signed, especially now with unfortunate news that Kylie Ray is no longer with AEW for personal reasons. She's been let go, or she asked for her release and she was granted it. So good on AEW for not holding her hostage. So yeah, Nyla Rose getting the big push. She's the number one contender. We'll face the winner of Riho and Shida later. Tag team match, Private Party defeats the team of Angelico and Jack Evans. Post-match, the Dirt Bikers turn heel because they lost. Makes Private Party look strong going into TV. There you go. SCU defeat A Boy and His Dinosaur and Marco Stunt. Another fun match, 12 minutes flat. SCU just knows how to get a crowd going. Glad they won. Jungle Boy, geez, losing everything. Luchasaurus, super over with the crowd. Just everything he does gets just a huge reaction. Early in the show, somehow we get Pac versus Kenny Omega. I don't know why this was so early. So Kenny Omega and Pac do lots of character work early. They try to put this match over the best they can with no build. And the way I was looking at it was Pac's coming off his Dragon Gate loss of his title, and he has something to prove. Kenny Omega's the big fish. Kenny Omega's coming off a win against Shima, but a loss against Jericho. So whomever wins this match is going to be a big force going forward. He's going to have the win advantage, right? Well, the match goes 23 minutes. Omega kind of flaunting around and Pac being super serious. And that turned out to be the downfall. The more they went on, the more moves they made. It was a very good match. I don't deny that. Pac's legs just took a beating. He does a big moonsault spot to the outside where his shins hit the guardrail, and you gotta know he was hurting, because there was even a missed Poison Rana spot late in the match where Pac's legs just went out from underneath him and he just couldn't hit it right. Don't blame the guy at all. But Kenny Omega loses after going for one winged angel, and Pac putting him in the Rings of Saturn, aka the Brutalizer, and making him pass out. Well, okay. So we got chasing Kenny Omega, so he's gonna have to put a lot of wins together, and big wins too, to get himself back at the top. Meanwhile, Pac is in a much better position now. One win going forward. I imagine him and Paige are going to have something later. Speaking of, I can say it already that Pac did not jump Paige post-match. Hardcore 3-way. Jimmy Havoc defeats Darby Allin and Joey Janela in a 15-minute Cracker Barrel bash match. It was a death match, doing crazy spots, doing crazy things. Joey Janela no-sells staple shots to the forehead. He just looked goofy doing it. But right after that, it was salvaged with Jimmy Havoc doing a monkey flip while Janela was on a chair, and he lands on the chair and flaunts it. Early in the match, Janela and Darby Allin duct tape Jimmy Havoc to a chair on the outside in the corner. Outside the ring in a corner, and I believe it was Jimmy Havoc. Joey Janela's up at the top, and Jimmy Havoc's duct taped to the chair, with tacks duct taped in his mouth, by the way. And Janela does a somersault onto Havoc on the chair. That was crazy. Darby Allin gets the big Cracker Barrel. Crowds chanting, "We want barrels," so your sponsor is over. I don't think I've seen that in a promotion in quite some time. So crowd's having fun, at least. And Darby Allin does a coffin drop with the barrel onto steel steps, which Jimmy Havoc avoids. Oh, my God. And Jimmy Havoc gets the win. There you go. Dark Order defeats the Best Friends in a 14-minute tag match in which the winner gets a bye in the tag team title tournament. I love the Dark Order. I love the heel work they do. I love the fact that they have their minions interfere. Crowds chanting spooky pervs at them. I love it. Evil Ueno had this wild, white face paint on underneath his mask. Made him look really goofy. I was a big fan of this match. It's just not very over. The act isn't over. I hope everyone turns around. As long as the Dark Order keeps winning, you can get behind them. Dark Order beats down Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta post-match, and as they're trying to take them away, minion-wise, Orange Cassidy pops in after the lights go out, does a suicide dive with his hands in his pockets, saves the Best Friends from the spooky pervs. Looks like the Best Friends have a new friend. Riho and Hikaru Shida for the winner gets to face Nyla Rose for the very beautiful looking AEW Women's Championship. I really like it. It's got this kind of tiara crown look to the title. I think it looks very nice. I like it more than the men's title, to be honest. Hikaru Shida is a star. Riho is the idol in peril, and that was the story in this match. Hikaru Shida made 90 pounds look amazing. She threw Riho around the ring, whether it was the suplex spot inside out. It's like the Ibushi German suplex spot with a regular suplex. Riho trying to do flash pins, high speed style, and eventually nails Hikaru Shida with a nice looking. Tsukasa Fujimoto does this pin where it looks like it's a spear cradle, but then hooks around with the leg and rolls him up. It's a really cool flash pin. It's a good little finisher. So I'm very disappointed Shida didn't win, but Riho and Nyla Rose have been the two women featured the most in AEW, and I think it's only appropriate when you even include the three-way win in which Riho has pinned Nyla. That gives it more credibility that Riho can indeed pin Nyla Rose. Should Nyla Rose be the first champion? Ooh. I think at this point, you've built Nyla Rose up to be a credible monster. Credible big threat. Riho is the babyface heel. If you're going to get a Japanese star over, and Riho is an excellent worker, and she can make anybody look good in that ring, whether it's she's on the ground a lot, or running around a lot and doing drop kicks and whatnot, Riho should be the first champion. There's no doubt in my mind. Am I going to be upset if Nyla Rose wins? No, because then they could do the Arisa Hoshiki route of booking veterans to be against her to make her look better. Whether that's Shida, the Awesome Kongs of the world. I hope they go that route. The worry is if they put the title on Nyla Rose and they have her go against Britt Baker, that's not going to go so well. I can feel that already. Nyla just doesn't have that experience yet for working a variety of styles. She does know a Joshi style with her experience in, I think it's Gohei and Ice Ribbon. I could be wrong there. So anyways, one of my favorite matches of the weekend, Cody facing off against evil Shawn Spears, the chairman of AEW, with Tully Blanchard. This is one thing I noticed. The crowd wasn't into Riho and Shida because they don't know them. They need to do backstories on the Joshis. They have to. Otherwise, the crowd will never know. They'll just be, yeah, they're good wrestlers, whatever. They need, hopefully TV, they will get some character work. It won't just be matches. We'll do some backgrounds on them. And the way the crowd was reacting, they would go through spurts of, they would react to everything and all the spots that the wrestlers would do. But they would then, it was almost like the crowd was muffled. It was very strange. And it was very much audible here in the Cody Spears match. Cody and Spears would do, whether it was a Tully Blanchard interference, the Spears DVD on the ramp. The crowd got real hot when the start happened. Spears had an epic entrance, like sitting on a chair, coming out slow, looking like the Iceman, wearing all kind of teal, blue, and white kind of situation, having crazy contacts in. And Cody comes out with a big Star Trek theme with his entourage. He was told that because he signed the contract, you're only allowed one person ringside. And of course he chooses MJF. He's his best friend. Cody is MJF's idol. He's going to back him up, no problem. Shame on you people for thinking MJF was going to turn on Cody. Shame on you. Their friendship is something we can only imagine. So, Cody and Shawn Spears get off to a hot start with brawling on the outside. They go into the crowd. There's a really cool picture spot of the crowd just reacting heavily to Cody standing on the 100, 200 level area. Everyone's got their hands in the air with him. Spears has control, and he's using the. There's a really cool boo reaction spot where Spears takes Cody's weight belt off, and he's going to hit it. Referee Earl Hebner takes the weight belt away, but in the corner, Tully Blanchard has been taking his belt off, and he hands it to Spears. And this is kind of a what I would go through with the All Japan Women situation was the ref doesn't want weapons in the ring, but if they're already using it, he's not going to DQ them, but he's going to take it away again. And that's kind of what happened here. You really have to have a different mindset when looking at AEW, where it's going to have that New Japan Dragon Gate type referee discretion thing, where if a match gets out of control, yes, it will be thrown out. Is the ref going to not allow weapons? He doesn't want them to, but if they're introduced, he's going to do his best to get them back out again. Whether that's a DQ or not, most of the time it's not going to be. So Cody, there was a crazy instance where Tully Blanchard and MJF are they scuffle in the ring, and Tully's choking MJF, and Spears boots MJF out of the ring, and then Tully follows him out to beat him up some more, and that's when Arn Anderson comes out. The crowd pops heavily for Arn Anderson. Anderson's behind him, hits him with the big spine buster. Crowd goes crazy. The most we've heard in a while since the start of the match. Crowd was reacting, just not to this level. And man, if that doesn't, like, Tully's shocked. He leaves the area because he just doesn't know what to do anymore. He's like wondering what happened to his brainbuster tag partner from the eras past. Man, if that's not a big, like, cog added to the story, I don't know what is. Tully Blanchard, Arn Anderson, and a Rhodes. Like, there you go. That's a huge story going forward. Lots of questions. I can't wait. Tag title, Escalera de la Muerta ladder match for the AAA tag titles. Lucha Brothers versus Young Bucks. 22 minutes of a car crash. Best ladder match of all time. I mean, it's up there. I wouldn't put it as the best. Maybe top 5. But it was definitely like, holy shit, all the time. Matt Jackson gets pushed off the ladder by Matt Jackson does a heel move where he pulls the mask out of Pentagon Jr.'s face, and then Penta's like got his hand over his face blocking him, and he pushes the ladder over one-handed, and it's off balance, so Matt lands back first on the awkward ladder. That looked horrible. Rey Fenix is doing springboard moonsaults everywhere. There's tag maneuvers left and right. There's a real cool spot where they're, I believe it's Nick and Phoenix on tables on the outside, the younger brothers, and then you have Pentagon and Matt on the inside, and they look at each other, they look at the tables, they look at each other, they run the ropes and both do like a suicide dive situation onto the tables, putting their opponents through. There was another instance where it was switched, where Nick and Phoenix were on top of ladders on the outside, with Matt and Pentagon on the bottom. They look at each other, climb the ladder, look at each other, then they both jump off and do the same thing. The scariest spot in the match was definitely when Nick Jackson is pushed off a ladder from mid-ring, just about, and he's supposed to kind of jump off the ladder a little bit and land through 2 tables, but instead his foot gets caught in the rope, and he does a nasty fall through 1 table, and his head clips the second one. Oh, it looked like he died. It was very horrible. Lucha Brothers retain their AAA tag titles, and then 2 guys in masks, one of Bill Clinton and the other is George Bush, I think, was the other mask. They push the Lucha Brothers off, they take out the Young Bucks, they take off the masks, and it's LAX, EYFBO, entertaining your fucking balls off. The Beyond Wrestling former tag team aces are in AEW officially. I'll rejoice. What a tag division. And we get finally our AEW World title match to crown the first champion. 26 minutes. Chris Jericho defeats Hangman Adam Page, who came out with a horse, by the way. And they have a... My biggest criticism was this never felt like a world title match. It was a good match. I vastly enjoyed it. It didn't overstay his welcome. Chris Jericho can still hang with the Young Guns. He proved that. Adam Page did a lot of the athletic work, and Jericho just was being Jericho, and it worked. Little cocky, which didn't match his promos, but he's Chris Jericho. He can't help himself kind of situation. The big story here was at Fight for the Fallen, Jericho opened up Page's left eye, right? Big cut. So there's a spinning forearm shot from Page mid-match, and that opens Jericho up, and he's bleeding everywhere. And Page, wanting revenge for that incident, keeps doing the spinning forearm, and it puts Jericho down. He's able to get a bunch of offense in. Finally, he hits the Deadeye, the reverse tombstone spot. Jericho kicks out of his finisher. Page, with nothing else to do, goes to the well one too many times, and as he's spinning for that forearm shot to Jericho's left eye, Jericho, at the same time, hits him with the Judas effect, the spinning elbow MMA shot that's his new finisher, gets him instead, and knocks him out. Oh, I love that finish. Jericho becomes the youngest AEW champion ever at a spry 48. Youngest ever, by the way. Did I say he's the youngest? He's the youngest ever. So the way I look at Jericho being champ here is, at the end of his wrestling time, you put the belt on the name and get all you can out of him while you still can. So later, now that he's champion, he will put over all the young guys, and it will mean even more now because he's also the champion, the first and the youngest champion ever. So there you go. I love it. The story, days later, he got over the catchphrase, a little bit of the bubbly, because he's Chris Jericho, baby. The best ever. Yeah, he got a little drunk, and his title was stolen from him. He got it back, but we don't know who the culprit is. Ooh, there's the story right there. Looking forward to it. Got my tickets for Full Gear. Gonna get my ticket, I hope, for the Boston show October 9th when it comes to the area. Looking forward to it. Okay, time for the last segment of the show. All right, WCW Nitro, coming from Denver, Colorado, taking place August 3rd, 1998. The go-home show for Road Wild. My, has time flown by. Shivani tells us the events of the night. The tag titles are on the line. The champions Giant and Hall will take on the team of Sting and Luger. So we got this kind of NWO versus NWO Wolfpack theme tonight. We have Hennig versus Conan in a singles match, and the Cruiserweight title will be defended, Jericho versus Mysterio Jr. We start off with the Nitro Girls dancing in gold jumpsuits to start off our night. Ooh, yay. Shivani tells us Zbyszko has been called into an executive meeting in regards to last week's gag order that Dusty Rhodes had placed on them from taking over his interview or as a commentating position. And we immediately start off with Mean Gene in the ring to interview Diamond Dallas Page about Road Wild's match of Jay Leno stepping into the ring with DDP versus Bischoff and Hogan. There was a thing apparently on the Late Show Wednesday before Nitro where Jay Leno kind of slapped or punched Bischoff or whatever. So basically we got a main event rematch, but instead of basketball stars, now we have quote-unquote late night hosts. Oh joy. Surely, Diamond Dallas Page wins this match this time. Right? Right? Right, okay. So DDP, he's in the ring, Sleazy E this, Scum Hogan that, etc., etc. He goes into the crowd. Barbarian with Jimmy Hart hit the ring and call back DDP to the ring for a match. DDP enters the ring and has no tape on his ribs for what I think is the first time all year in 1998. Crowd is nuts for DDP. Jimmy Hart distracts the referee. Barbarian hits a low blow on DDP, beats him down for a little while, midsection focused kind of thing. DDP fights into multiple diamond cutters and finally hits on his fourth diamond cutter attempt, fighting through a block and pins the Barbarian clean. Not bad. It's probably the best match you can get out of the Barbarian, to be honest. Zbyszko comes back on commentary. He is peeved. Ooh. Zbyszko explains he is to do his job and not be interfered with. So, okay. Lots of recaps of last week's top segments, Adams and Goldberg promos, Ransack Locker Room, DDP and Hogan promo, main event brawl, and even a good chunk of the atrocious Bischoff Late Show segment. Ugh. Almost shot all of it, in fact. So kill me. And then more recaps. This one is kind of a look at Bret Hart of sorts. Yeah. A lot of recaps. It was like a good chunk of the first hour. Finally, a wrestling match again. Psychosis. Okay, cool. Haven't seen Psychosis wrestle in a day or two. Versus Disco Inferno. Well, damn it. Thankfully, Disco gets a mic and introduces his replacement. Alex Wright's music hits, and I was less enthused. But then Tokyo Magnet comes out instead. Hey, I'm enthused again. All right, hooray. Let's do it. Match goes exactly 2 seconds until Scott Norton hits the ring. He power bombs them both for a DQ. He says he wants to fight because he doesn't have a match booked on the night. He tells WCW to send someone out. Well, Hugh Morris walks out and takes the challenge to Jimmy Hart's disarray. He gets in the ring. As he's getting in the ring, he gets punched, then powerbombed immediately for his trouble. Well, I can't say Scott Norton doesn't look like a total destroyer, but it makes these three guys totally useless in the process. A Bret Hart promo package recap for the second time tonight, and that was the first hour of the show. There you go. All recaps, pretty much. Nitro Girls out to dance again to introduce Hour 2. This was a very big theme of the night. Saw the Nitro Girls like 4 or 5 times. Nitro Party brought to you by Mug Root Beer commercial. Very 90s. Mean Gene out number 2. And I will say this. Keep count of Mean Gene tonight. Seems to be a thing I've been doing. He interviews Goldberg. Goldberg appears immediately on the ramp, so the police are not recurring yet. Just last week. Fireworks, crowd chanting his name. So apparently based on Goldberg's promo, he has a match at Road Wild that he's inserting himself into, which is an NWO Battle Royal, just so he can get his hands on the Giant. Because Giant, as the Nitro was going off the show last week, Giant chokeslammed him. He mentions that Luger and Sting might be in this match too, or DDP, or, he names some people, but it was very weird. I don't know what this match is or what its purpose is. Is Goldberg putting his title on the line and being in this battle royal? I don't know. It's not clear. So days away from this pay-per-view, Road Wild, your world champion must insert himself into a match with no build. Just he wants to get his hands on Giant. That's it. Couldn't he just... Giant has a match tonight. Just go beat him up. Ugh. Sting runs in the ring for seemingly no reason. Hennig, Adams, Vincent, and Giant go on the ramp. They're taunting Goldberg. Goldberg chases after Giant, going through the Stooges. Bret Hart does a funny little sidestep to avoid Goldberg. Shivani mentions Sting once in the Battle Royal from commentary. A million things happened in this 60 seconds. It was very strange. So maybe instead of a billion recaps, we have enough time to do all these matches and segments, eh? I don't know. Crazy thought, I guess. So we come back from break. Cameras see Sting hovering over a downed Luger backstage all of a sudden, and then he leaves the arena. Okay, sure. Commentary's confused as much as I am. They just ask these questions all night. What's with Sting? He left, right? I don't know. He has a tag title match tonight with Luger. Well, what's Luger doing? He's out. Okay. Anyways, NWO music hits. Brian Adams comes out with Vincent versus Hacksaw Jim Duggan. The guy we just saw get punked out by Goldberg 3 seconds ago. Match goes 3 minutes, 30 seconds of Duggan in control. Vincent interference was just enough. Adam hits a pile driver to win. Not much. Mean Gene 3 outside Sting's supposed locker room, or at least a room he's supposedly in, for an answer about the Lex Luger condition and the status of the tag title match. No answer from the room. Bret Hart shows up and says, "That's too bad about Lex, eh? Bummer, right?" Gene then goes, "Well, Mr. Hart, do you know something about this?" He goes, "I don't like what you're insinuating, Gene. What are you insinuating?" Gene goes, you know what I'm insinuating. You took out Lex Luger." So, and then Bret Hart cuts a nice little simple promo. Despite the innuendos and the fan blaming Bret Hart for all of this, he wants to be Sting's partner tonight. He won't let him down. So it gives us some intrigue later. So Bret Hart and Mean Gene totally sold this story here, going forward. Gene 4 promotes a motorcycle, plus the Road Wild pay-per-view. Raven and the Flock members come out. Lodi sign spotted. Yay, Lodi! Oh, how I have missed your glorious signs. He has one that says Lodi is too cool for school. And another sign that says Lewinsky or Flowers, you decide. Very timely. Raven gets on a mic and says Raven gets on a mic and says Canyon versus Sick Boy is off. The match isn't going to happen. He gets cut off by Raven sucks chance, so the crowd hates him, so he's, successful heel. He starts talking in riddles about the Canyon versus Sanyon, tongue-tied here. The Raven versus Saturn versus Canyon triangle match that's going to happen at Road Wild. And he very much alludes to the fact that Canyon is going to get swallowed by the Flock. Which was, if you remember from my last episode 38, this is what I was afraid of. Is, if the story is in fact Canyon's getting swallowed by the Flock, much like members past, but Canyon doesn't join, he's the first one to kind of swerve us into not joining Raven's Flock, and he is trying to get him from the inside situation, I'm all for it. That's great, because then it all makes sense with the anytime, anyplace, anywhere Canyon, right? He can fool you at doing anything, right? Being anyone you think he needs to be. And then Saturn's got the infighting between former friend Raven. So Canyon goes over and doesn't join the Flock. Oh, or even Saturn goes over and proves he's the better man and maybe, go into a TV title situation or what have you. Back into the US title situation, maybe. But if it's just swerve, Canyon gets swallowed up, Raven wins, it doesn't really progress anything. It just seems like it makes the last 6-month storyline seem worthless, right? So Lodi gets on the mic and he starts like hyping up, yeah, Raven this, and then Raven just breaks his fingers because he started talking, I guess, and has Sick Boy help him in the mutilation. Saturn comes down to the ring and ends up doing the same thing to Lodi once he chases out Raven. Oh, poor Lodi. Crowd didn't care much for this, but I did. I did care about the Lodi beatdown. It was horrible. How dare all these horrible men do such a thing to such a kind soul? Mean Gene 5 still waiting outside Sting's supposed locker room. Then in the background we see Scott Hall and Bret Hart talking. Ooh. Gene turns around and sees them, tries to catch them in time. Bret Hart escapes to a room. Hall escapes behind the corner. Gene gets caught up in the microphone wire. Oh, he doesn't get him in time. Oh, the mystery. Nitro girls have changed into red outfits now to dance a bit. Mean Gene 6. Yes, our 6th Mean Gene sighting of the night. With J.J. Dillon brings out Dean Malenko. Malenko admits Jericho was the better man in this in their match last week. Excuse me? Remember the fact that Malenko got himself stupidly DQ'd to the world last week? What? Anyways, Jericho comes out, gloats how right he was, etc., etc., just being a massive douche. It's fantastic. JJ says Jericho has been out of control, especially with the referee, and he ends up loopholing Jericho into getting Malenko to be the special referee for the title match at Road Wild against Juventud Guerrera for the Cruiserweight title. Jericho freaks out, cries conspiracy. Nice short segment. I like this. So that kind of makes me truly believe that the title match later against Mysterio, Jericho's surely winning, right? Eddie Guerrero versus Juventud Guerrera. Eddie slaps Juventud to start the match instead of a handshake. A simple enough 3:30 match. Eddie wins off a shoulder breaker, followed by his frog splash. Got my head scratching. Juventud loses going into his title match with Jericho at the pay-per-view? What? So, Eddie Guerrero has the match now, right? Makes sense to me. Alright. Mean Gene 7 for another motorcycle plug for Road Wild. 7 sightings of Mean Gene tonight. Liz Mark Jr. versus Stevie Ray. Stevie Ray is still holding the TV title, by the way. Mean Gene 8 cuts him off and asks what's up with this TV title. Stevie claims Booker gave him the power of attorney for Stevie to have the TV title, and he has notarized documents for proof, finally, that... Gene questions the legality of the... He's like, none of this is notarized, and Stevie goes, yeah, it's notarized right there, kind of situation. This is basically a glorified squash match on Liz Mark Jr. Stevie Ray does a bunch of basic power moves and a pump kick, and then Chavo comes out at 3:30. Weird how every match has been timed the exact same. Does this sound familiar? Chavo is wearing Stevie's gloves, says he was looking through his bag and he found a notary stamp. So question, why is Chavo bugging Stevie Ray? Why is he doing all this with him in particular? It seems really odd. I get that he's crazy, but even crazy people have a reason for what they do. Stevie chases after Chavo, loses via countout. Basically pointless. Hey, we're at the 3rd hour. Whew. Still questioning where Sting is since he left the arena and not in the locker room. Luger is still out of the match due to the beatdown. Hennig out with Norton in tow, not Rick Rude, versus Conan. This was another good 3-minute match, as good as you can get. Both guys got their licks in, a very obvious Scott Norton interference right in front of the ref that doesn't lead to a DQ. And it leads directly into Hennig choking out Conan with his own shirt, gets him in a perfect plex to pin him, and then Nash immediately comes out and chases the NWO out of the ring once the bell rings. Okay, so we've had like 11 minutes of wrestling on the go-home show with 45 minutes of like recaps or whatever. It's very strange. I was able to skip through a lot. Recap of Buff Bagwell and Scott Steiner from last week. Gloating, basically. Speaking of Scott Steiner, out to the ring with a mic. He stumbles over a lot of his words. Blood is red, black is this, in his bones. Then he takes his shirt off and says he quits the NWO. Nobody believes him. He wants to apologize to his brother, Rick Steiner. Rick's music hits, but it's Buff dressed as Rick instead, with markered in facial hair, dressed as the Rick Steiner, yeah. Buff nailed this mockery. He starts barking like a dog, biting the bottom rope, eating treats out of Scott Steiner's hand. So he did nail the mockery, but it's beyond stupid. So this is about the level, I think, of Buff Bagwell anyways. So if Buff Bagwell barking like a dog and eating dog treats out of Scott Steiner's hand isn't a summary of the wrestling career of Buff Bagwell, I don't know what is. This ends with Rick hitting the ring with a chair, and Scott and Rick stare at each other for a second. A good, hard second. It's almost like Scott looks at Rick, looks at the chair. Rick looks at Scott dead in the eyes, and then he just goes, whack! Really hard into the shoulder of Scott Steiner. Scott, yeah, it was unintentionally funny, that's for sure. It saved the whole thing for me. NW out. Oh god, this segment. Okay. Nitro Girls in the ring again. NWO's music comes out, stops Nitro Girl Kimberly Page from leaving the ring. They corner her and berate her in the ring. Very uncomfortable, right? Why Kimberly Page? Well, it's Diamond Dallas Page's wife. DDP rushes out and gets immediately caught and held by the NWO, Giant and the like. Bischoff continues to slut-shame Kimberly. Crowd chants for Goldberg and boos loudly. If this wasn't a time for Goldberg to hit the ring, I don't know what would be. But alas, no one comes out to help the People's Champion DDP. So after all the berating and continued slut-shaming, Hogan beats down DDP like a bitch. This was 5 minutes and 5 minutes too long. What started as boos got real quiet. Hogan and Bischoff just going, hey, if you want a real man, hey, if you want to be really satisfied, come hit me up. Hey, you're the one that gets around the locker room all the time kind of situation. It just made everyone feel really uncomfortable. I really didn't see the point to all of this. It just makes DDP just look sad. You know? So no Goldberg, no help, just DDP gets beaten up like a bitch. Slut-shaming Kimberly. Shivani does his best to bring pure disgust into what just happened. Bless him for trying. There was no saving that. So main event time. Tag titles, Hall and Giant versus questionable NWO Wolfpack. Hall cuts a survey, then Bret Hart's music hits, stopping Michael Buffer's entrance for the NWO Wolfpack. Sting then falls from the rafters with his own music, not the NWO Wolfpack music, and he has his black and white face paint back and a bat. What is going on? In a good way is the question. So we got a match. Very interesting from the story development all night. At least that was a continuity story. That initial response was messy, but it saved it in the end as the night went on. Sting makes his own comeback, low blow on Giant. Not in front of the ref, I swear. So anyways, I jumped ahead on my notes. I'm sorry. Started rushed. No. So I'm invested. I'm sure it's all a swerve because it's WCW, but I will watch to the dismay of my reluctance to truly believe. And the crowd's right there with me. Hart locks up with Hall, tags Sting in. Quickly, NWO gain control from Dirty Tactics, as expected. Hart stands on the apron waiting patiently. This crowd is deathly quiet, just waiting for the swerve like me. Sting makes his own comeback. Low blow on Giant. There it is. Hart hits the ring with a bat. He seems to aim for Sting, but Sting ducks, and he hits Hall in the back. So it was this overhead swing, but he hits Hall in the back, not in the head situation. So it leads me to believe that Brett wanted to do it, right, to convince Sting and win the tag titles. I don't know. It's very questionable. I like it. And Brett hit Scott Hall with the bat very safely. Sting pins Hall as Brett gets rid of the evidence. Now, Brett looks at the ref, looks at the bat, tosses out of the ring, all while the ref's back is turned. Commentary, immediately upon the bell ringing, starts saying the ref has reversed the decision, which makes no sense because he didn't see anything, and he didn't signal that anything was changed. The bell just keeps ringing because Giant and Hall Giant is beating down on Sting post-match. Brett grabs his US title and then both tag titles as Giant is beating down Sting. Hart looks on. He's like kind of putting his hand on Sting. He's very unsure about it all. Goldberg hits the ring, spears Giant, and the show cuts off upon impact. Okay, on to Road Wild, I guess, boys. Too many recaps. Matches were too short. The main event, at least, was built well. And the horrid NWO slut shame segment. So not a good show, I would say. Just not enough wrestling, too many recaps. And that was WCW Nitro. Our next episode will be Road Wild. How about that? Time flies. Well, on to our weekly wrestling recap. Oh my god. I'm all tongue-tied on this cast. On to our podcast rankings. And just to go through them quick, very curious to see what everyone else thinks about it, but here we go. The women, Maika Ozaki, 9 Jungle Kiona, 8 Miyagi, 7 Risa Sera, 6 Maya Yukihi, 5 Fujimoto, 4 Tsukushi, 3 Rina Yamashita, 2 Riho, and 1 Shida. I think it's kind of expected. Yes, I think the Shida-Riho match was better than the Yamashita-Tsukushi match. Basically. 15 for the men, Pac. 14 Dark Order, 13 Tanahashi, 12 Ishii, 11 Kenta, 10 Shawn Spears, 9 Page, 8 Jericho, youngest ever AEW champion, 7 Young Bucks, 6 Tyler Bate, 5 Okada, 4 Walter, and then 3-2-1 is whom I think were the best performers of the weekend, basically. That went 3 Cody Rhodes, 2 Lucha Bros, 1 Minoru Suzuki. And there you have it. Hit me up on Twitter at BowlingJD to see the updated top 10 rankings of the men and women. Follow the Red Leaf Retrocast and its podcast, all your favorite outlets. This was episode 39, Royal All Out of Cardiff, and we'll see you next time.